Chapter 45, Forbidden One. This damn dullard. If I had known how hard it would be to teach him Taoist cultivation, I would have sent him away a long time ago. He coughed and pushed me away, stroking his beard as he spoke. Thanks to Master not sending me away, I was able to come this far. I smiled and replied to him. It took 10 years to complete the first star of Qi refining, 12 years for the second star, 6 years for the third star, 5 years for the fourth star. In total, it took 33 years. My body, rejuvenated through a complete transformation, seemed to age slowly. I still looked like I was in my 30s, even though I was in my 60s. But I was increasingly concerned about the approaching end of my lifespan. In this life, I have even undergone a complete transformation. Yet, will I still die of natural causes? It was unknown. However, I was certainly getting a bit anxious. Master, I am sorry to ask, but could you perhaps teach me about the next stage? Yes, you know your place. A talentless person should quickly advance to the next stage. The fifth star of Qi refining follows the principles of the 9 palaces. You must converge the variations of your 108 spiritual meridians and 60 types of spiritual energy into 9 points. Attempt the integration of the 9 points into one, with the concepts of Tai, Shepti, Xinyuan, Zhaoyao, Tianfu, Qinglong, Hanji, Taiyin, and Tianyi. Start the integration of your spiritual meridians flowing through your body. I quietly sat and listened attentively to his words. The 9 palaces also connect with the principles of the 8 trigrams, serving as a stepping stone to the next stage. By mastering the 9 palaces, you can control the formation freely, bringing about any change within it. He demonstrated the formation of the wood attribute in front of me. The formation, created by the flow of the 12 earthly branches, enhanced its power to the extreme when combined with the 10 heavenly stems. As the 9 palaces integrated, the formation began to transform. The wood energy spread in all directions, changing erratically and disharmoniously under my master's will. If you successfully incorporate the principles of the 9 palaces into the formation, you can completely control and freely change the formation, achieving complete freedom within it. This reminded me of a few Qi refining 5th star cultivators I had fought against. Indeed, from the 5th star of Qi refining, the use of spells became incredibly flexible. Alongside him, I began to learn how to perceive the 9 points of integration of the 9 palaces, how to converge the numerous flows into 9 paths, and how to combine spells to use even more powerful ones. I delved into the 9 palaces, even bleeding from my hands from the effort of mastering its techniques, and reciting related mantras until my throat was hoarse for 7 years. Wong. Integration was successful. The 108 spiritual meridians flowing through my meridian channels, the 60 variations, all converged significantly into 9 paths, and the previously diverse spiritual meridians settled in order. Qi refining, 6th star. I exclaimed in ecstasy. I tried moving the spiritual power flowing through my meridians. Instantly, the formation unfolded, and inside it, changes occurred according to my will. Kuguk. Using the earth-dwelling method, 6 hexagonal shields condensed around me. But as I clenched my fist, the earth shields crumbled and transformed into earth spears. Now that I could change the formation at will, even defensive spells could be somewhat converted to offensive ones. Of course, their defensive power was still stronger. Let's see. I summoned the flying sword that was moving on its own in the distance. Fat. The sword flew through the air towards me. For the past 40 years, I had tirelessly practiced the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. It was now just a matter of inputting actions, and the movement has become incredibly free. Also, the knack of sending intent has become much easier. I called the sword in front of me, charged it with Sword Gang, and then sent the Gang Qi-infused sword flying far away before shooting it back towards me. Pong. A sonic boom sounded. I launched an earth spear, transformed from the earth-dwelling method's formation, towards the Gang Qi-infused sword. Quong. The earth spear and the sword collided. A gust of wind blew, a loud boom resounded, and when the dust settled, only my flying sword remained. However, since I controlled the sword, I could feel the rebound and estimated the power of the earth spear. It has the power of Gang Qi used by 3 flowers gather at the summit martial artists. It was powerful enough to easily destroy the defensive spells of Qi refining cultivators. This ignorant one. So energetic this early in the morning. And then, through the dust cloud, my master walked towards me, smiling. Congratulations. You useless guy. How lacking must your talent be that it took you 7 years to reach Qi refining 6th star? Still, I will complete the 6th star as quickly as possible. That's right. The 6th star, the stage of 8 trigrams completed path, is the easiest in Qi refining. If you can't do this, I really might kill you. He spoke thus, but he looked very pleased, his intent colored with the golden color of joy. Do not worry, master. I have already studied the 6th star in advance. I learned that it involves completing the spiritual meridians according to the principles of the 8 trigrams. It's a field I am somewhat confident in. Confident, you say? But it's completely different from the internal energy methods martial artists like you are used to. If you don't understand the images of the 8 trigrams, you can't do anything. He handed me a stack of books. Read all of these. I personally annotated these for a dullard like you. Otherwise, it would be a waste of time if it's too difficult for someone with your lacking talents. I'm always grateful. Then please do well. I also delved deeply into the 8 trigrams. Qian, Dui, Li, Zhan, Sun, Kan, Zhen, Kuan. I completely mastered the 8 trigram images. I solved several questions I had about spiritual roots. For instance, there are only 5 types of spiritual roots in the 5 elements. Yet, how could the Mokli clan cultivate methods outside of the 5 elements like wind and yin? Of course, I heard about some special spiritual roots and spiritual energy, the rare ones such as John Myung-hoon's heavenly golden thunder body and Kong Min-hee's ghostly yin transforming immortal root. But typically, it's said that no cultivator can go beyond the 5 elements' spiritual roots. And now, by studying the trigrams, I understood methods beyond the 5 elements. The 5 elements are interconnected with the 8 trigrams. Qian and Dui are metal. Li is fire. Kan is water. Zhen and Sun are wood. Zhen and Kuan are earth. In this way, someone with a wood element could use Sun, representing wind, to specialize in wind-based spells. The more I studied the trigram images, the more I could overlap the flow of the 8 trigrams with the formation, and integrating the 8 trigrams into my spiritual meridians was the easiest part of my cultivation so far. The difficult part was understanding the meanings of the 8 trigrams, and I spent a lot of time on that. After 3 years of delving into the 8 trigrams, I completely mastered and concluded the formation within the same time frame. As the formation concluded, I felt all the spiritual meridians in my body, following the 8 trigrams, become activated. All the spiritual meridians throughout my body connected, forming a circle. Kagugugu. The flow of spiritual power in my meridians became incredibly free, and its speed was terrifyingly fast. In the midst of this pure and swift flow of spiritual meridians, I sensed something strange. Something impure. Is this the internal energy from the Dragon Vein Qi method? The internal energy from the internal energy method, impure compared to the spiritual energy of cultivation, remained impurely in my meridians. I feel irritated by it, but I'm not sure why. However, I didn't think much about the internal energy from the Dragon Vein Qi method and reported the results to my master. Kaha. Excellent. Truly my disciple. My master was very happy, patting my shoulder. This stupid one. It took you 43 years to complete Qi refining 6th star and enter the 7th. You really are a dullard. Although he said that, he looked very happy. Suddenly, he took something out of his pocket. That is. I trembled slightly at the sight of what my master took out. Your achievements seem to be growing, which eases my mind. Even if it's just a little, I want you to have some accomplishments in this life. This is a gift for you. What he took out of his robe was a small silk box, exuding a familiar fragrance. When my master opened the box, inside were 3 pills emitting a faint red glow. Blessing pill. For mortals, it extends life by 10 years. For Qi refining cultivators, it can extend life up to 8 years, or 6 years if some resistance has developed. It's a precious elixir. Master. I knew you'd be grateful. I'm tired of hearing thanks. Just eat it. I'm sorry. What? He frowned as if he couldn't believe what he heard. Am I hearing things wrong? Surely I heard you correctly. You heard me right, master. I cannot consume that pill. Are you mad? This is an elixir that can extend life by 8 years. Do you not understand how precious and valuable this is? You foolish boy. Master, do you know the ingredients of the blessing pill? At my words, he looked at me as if I was speaking nonsense. How would I know that? I've spent 250 years dedicated to studying spells, mantras, and formations. Do you think I had time to learn about alchemy, a completely different field? Pill refining knowledge is difficult to obtain unless you're a professional alchemist. The Mokli clan is famous for alchemy, so even their collateral branches know a fair bit about it. As I always say, a dullard should focus on just one field. So, not only my master but many others are unaware of this alchemy. They don't know what the blessing pill and Qi building pill are made of. Should I tell him? After a moment of hesitation, I closed my eyes and said, I am sorry, master, but I have reasons why I cannot consume that pill. Please believe me. Damn it. You refuse the elixir that your master went through so much trouble to get. Fine. It's yours anyway. Do with it as you please. I'm leaving. Annoyed, my master handed me the silk box and left. I stared blankly at the blessing pill in my hand. Mokli Hyun's words still echoed in my ears. Elixirs made from humans. Should I or ally consume this? I bit my lip. No, it's not right. No matter how much it could extend my life. no matter how precious it is to continue the ties of this life. If I abandon my humanity in this life, it's all for naught. I apologized inwardly to my master, then went to a mountain near the Chongmon clan's main house. There, I dug a hole and buried the 3 pills. After covering them with earth and forming a small mound, I performed a solemn ritual and recited a prayer. Of course, there were no souls lingering in these remnants, but I prayed for the peace of the souls sacrificed for the pills. I'm sorry, master. Even if it is a gift from my master, I cannot consume something made of humans. What am I doing? Honestly, it would have been in my best interest to consume it without question. How much longer do I have to live, and who am I to know? It's best to extend life whenever possible. I just reached Qi refining 7th star, and there's still so much ahead, unclear and uncertain. While I've made significant progress in 5 energies converging to the origin through practicing the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, the next stage still seems far away. Unlike the realms I achieved so far, 3 flowers gather at the summit. 5 energies converging to the origin, the ultimate pinnacle felt too far away and elusive. This life alone would not be enough. Perhaps another life might be needed. Thus, the elixir promising to extend life by over 10 years is undoubtedly a tremendous opportunity for me. But, no matter how great the opportunity, I cannot bring myself to consume it. It wasn't just about this pill. I resolved never to swallow any elixir created through wrongful means. I slowly descended the mountain and returned to the Chongmon clan's main house. I want to greet my master. Have you come? Yes. Well then, let's study regarding Qi refining 7th star. My master, perhaps a bit hurt by my refusal of his gift, opened the book with a somewhat gloomy expression. The 7th star is known as the 7 stars ritual. It involves offering rituals to 7 of the 28 celestial stars governing the spiritual nature of heaven and earth. It's essentially declaring to the celestial deities that you are embarking on the path of immortal cultivation. Up to now, completing your spiritual meridians through the 72 earthly Sha true words, 36 heavenly gang law decrees, 12 earthly branches, 10 heavenly stems diagram, 9 palaces integration, and 8 trigrams completed path was, in a way, preparing the altar for this 7 stars ritual. Your body, your formation, and your spells become an altar to connect with the celestial deities. He continued his explanation. In fact, there's nothing special you need to realize at this stage. The 7 stars ritual involves using your body as the altar and your soul as the priest to conduct a ritual communicating with the celestial deities. Of course, you'll need to learn how to conduct the ritual, calculate the best time to receive the celestial star's power, and interpret celestial patterns. Reading celestial patterns is a skill I had previously learned during my time as chief advisor in the Wolin Alliance, so it didn't seem too difficult. In reality, besides learning about a few unknown stars and their associated symbolism, there wasn't much new to learn compared to before. Is the 7th star one of the easier stages? Furthermore, since the ritual involves offering to the 7 stars and receiving celestial energy bestowed by the heavens to evolve the meridians, most cultivators quickly pass this stage. Of course, for those with a heavenly spiritual root, calculating the exact time is crucial in the 7th star stage. But that was a unique case, not applicable to me. Following my master's guidance, I read the constellations, calculated celestial patterns, and determined the most auspicious time for myself. Fortunately, the right time wasn't far off, and my master, using his authority as an elder, built a small altar for me at a place where the dragon veins converged near the Chongmon clan's main house. Tonight is the right time for you. Yes. Prepare thoroughly. Have you fully grasped the ritual process? Yes, of course. And are you satisfied with this constellation? The 28 celestial stars represent the spiritual nature of heaven and earth. Among them, choosing the constellation that best fits the night's timing and receiving blessings from its 7 stars is the key to the 7 stars ritual. I heard that depending on which constellation you offer rituals to in Qi refining 7th star, it determines the stage in Qi building where you'll receive assistance. Yes, I'm very satisfied with this constellation. It was chosen by you, master, after all. Flattery. Never mind. The sun will set soon. Prepare for the ritual. Yes. I arrived at the altar and completed the process of transforming my body into a small altar using my spells. Now, as the sun set and the stars began to cover the sky, I planned to start the ritual. The sun sets, and the stars begin to rise. Begin. I'll assist you. Yes. I started the ritual, offering it to the celestial deities, moving the formation around the altar. In the midst of the ritual, and thus, I pray to the celestial gods and warriors for blessings. Whoosh! The wind blows. What? Both my masters and my expressions began to change. Rumble, rumble. The sky was clear. Just moments ago, there wasn't a single cloud, and my master had precisely calculated the weather to choose this night. It was supposed to be clear tonight. But suddenly, Dark clouds began to gather in the sky. The sky is obscured. The clear moonlight and stars hid behind the clouds. My altar, preparing to communicate with the stars, lost its connection and dissipated. The celestial deities descending from the sky were abruptly cut off. Don't panic. It's just an unexpected cloud. Plus, I don't feel any water vapor. It's not a storm cloud that will bring rain, just a passing one. The wind is strong, so it'll soon pass. Master, can you disperse it? Foolish boy, didn't you listen to my explanation? I can only assist your ritual. Direct intervention is impossible, especially in matters related to the heavens. If I interfere with the heavens and blow away the clouds, your ritual will immediately fail. Then I'll wait. I paused the ritual for a moment and looked up at the sky, waiting for the clouds to disperse. And then, it was morning. As the stars vanished and the sun rose, the clouds dispersed as if they were never there, as though their only purpose had been to obstruct my ritual the previous night. How can this be? Although I was quite surprised, my master seemed even more bewildered, staring at the sky in disbelief. Heavens obstructing a cultivator's auspicious time? No, this can't be. There must be some mistake. Yes, that's it. I'm sorry, my disciple. It seems I miscalculated the auspicious time. Master, however, I couldn't help but feel an ominous sense about it all and questioned him. Can such a celestial phenomenon occur due to a miscalculation of the auspicious time? No, of course not. That was just an anomaly. Yes, perhaps it wasn't the auspicious time, but a serious miscalculation of the weather. My disciple, I'll recalculate the appropriate time soon, and we'll perform the ritual again. Understood. I sighed softly and stepped down from the altar. After all, life doesn't always go as planned. I knew better than anyone that life doesn't always follow our desires. I decided to wait, as I had always done. We calculated another auspicious time, set up the altar again, and prepared for the ritual. This time it's certain. We'll definitely receive the celestial deity's energy. I've even precisely calculated the weather this time, so. However, as night fell, the sky darkened. Not with the darkness of the night, but with ominous clouds. Large curtains of clouds covered the entire sky, appearing out of nowhere. This is impossible. My calculations can't be wrong. My master was so panicked he shouted. Again, it's happening again. What is this? Thus, the second ritual also came to nothing. Let's try again. A setback like this can happen twice. This time I'll calculate the perfect auspicious time and set up the altar properly. Months later, my master had calculated another suitable time for me. Furthermore, this time, we headed east of Biokra, to a place in the middle of the heaven-treading desert, not rich in spiritual energy, but where clouds never formed. This area is known as the windy plains of the heaven-treading desert, where the wind is strong and the air is dry, so clouds absolutely never form. Since the surrounding area is a rocky desert, there won't be any sandstorms either, so this time the ritual will surely be completed. Again, as the sun set and the stars rose, I began to prepare the ritual. This time, everything seemed to be going smoothly until the final stage of the ritual, when I was about to receive the celestial energy from the stars. Rumble, rumble. Dark clouds began to gather in the sky. The clouds, before I could even finish the ritual procedure, completely covered the dry desert sky. No, 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 no. My master cried out as if his own ritual had been interrupted, but the clouds remained immovable, blocking the sky and cutting off the celestial energy. Why can't my disciple succeed? Why? Rumble, rumble. My master's spiritual power surged towards the sky, attempting to clear the clouds. The formidable spiritual power of a chi-building cultivator lit up the night sky as the clouds dispersed. But, perhaps because my master intervened with the heavens, the stars that had been sending down their energy stopped. And so, the ritual ended. Why? Why is this happening? Why? He chewed his lips, pacing around for a while, and then sighed. Let me find out why this is happening. Let's go back, my disciple. We returned to the Chongmun clan's main house on my master's flying artifact. After that, he frequented the clan's library, rummaging through all sorts of ancient texts. He had always been a man of many books, but now he was pulling out even more books in a frenzy, searching for something related to my condition. About a month later, my master came to me with bloodshot eyes. I found out about your condition. What could it possibly be? After a moment of hesitation, biting his lip, he spoke. The next moment, I felt as if my heart had crumbled at the words that came out of my master's mouth. The world is forbidding you. It's a symptom shown by the heavens to those whom they forbid immortal cultivation. Forbid immortal cultivation? You were not born with the fate to be a cultivator. I'm sorry, my disciple. There's nothing I can do for you. Translator notes. Eunhyun just can't catch a break. When I first read this, I actually felt my heart drop just thinking about how much difficulties and hardships await RMC. Chapter 46, Forbidden 2. Forbidden? Me? That I cannot cultivate. Master, I don't quite understand, and I have a question. What is it? Does fate truly exist? Yes, it does exist. What we humans call fate definitely exists, and it affects every living being in this world. My fingertips were trembling. If fate truly exists, then what about the free will of living beings? Doesn't it mean it's non-existent? If free will doesn't exist, and everything is predetermined, then what's the meaning of all this? Well, it's not exactly like that. Cultivators who have received the blessing of the 7 stars, controlled by the celestial power of heaven, can faintly perceive fate starting from the chi refining 7th star. You might think you've only learned about astronomy and reading the constellations, but from the moment a cultivator is granted permission by the heavens, they are allowed to vaguely perceive the heavenly mechanism. The master's explanation continued. Of course, it's impossible for a human to directly witness the vast entity known as fate. However, it's possible to read the very basics of it. From the chi refining 7 stars, a cultivator can read their own lifespan and know how much of their life remains. Lifespan? Are you saying that a human's lifespan is predetermined? Yes. Then, what is the purpose of cultivation? Why do cultivators continue to cultivate even knowing their lifespan is predetermined? That's because, while lifespan is certainly fixed, it's not absolute. Lifespan not absolute. For instance, a cultivator at the chi refining stage has at most the same lifespan as a mortal. But from the chi building stage, they receive additional lifespan from the heavens as they ascend in their cultivation. The chi building stage grants 300 years of lifespan, the core formation 600 years, the nascent soul 1,200 years, and heavenly being 2,400 years. Although the exact lifespan varies, a cultivator receives a new lifespan from heaven as they elevate their realm. That's why cultivators themselves bring change to the heavenly mechanism, and since ancient times, cultivators have also been called heaven defiers. Then, can I too receive a new fate as a cultivator? It's not necessarily so. While it's said that a human can receive a new fate, in reality, the heavens often grants a fate that transcends lifespan from the beginning. His complexion grew dark, born with natural talent, spiritual meridians, and spiritual roots. The fate one is born with becomes the standard of whether one can change their lifespan. Am I destined not to become a cultivator, born with a fate that cannot escape its own fate? It seems so. I asked in astonishment. Then, is there really no way? I've looked, and there seems to be none. I'm sorry. The lifespan's set by the heavens. I don't understand it. Aren't the heavens just a concept? Isn't the blue sky what we call the heavens? The heavens are not merely that. It's the law that flows through this world, a vast and immense principle. That's what the heavens are. Indeed, the heavens, this world, does not permit me. We are all born with a fate given by the heavens, grow up, and die. Cultivators may defy the heavens and cause changes in the heavenly mechanism. In reality, no cultivator can escape the grace of the heavens that gave them birth. Therefore, while one can overcome their lifespan, the fate to do so is also granted by the heavens. Master held my hand and said, I too have experienced it, although I can't compare to you. His voice was trembling. I spent my life striving and striving, bloodied my fingers forming hand seals, and my voice hoarse from chanting mantras. Through a lifetime of effort, I barely reached the chi building stage. But with my talent, the early chi building stage was my limit. Master was a person of 3 spiritual roots. He had true spiritual roots quality, but his spiritual meridians were weak, and he was born with impurities in his body, so he could only stay at the early chi building stage. My obsession with enlightenment and lifelong dedication to mantra and spell research was to enable my disciples, even with lesser talent, to ascend as much as possible in their cultivation realms. And you, a person of 5 elements spiritual roots, from a lowly mortal to reaching the chi refining 7th star, you've splendidly proven the values I've pursued. But it seems, everyone has their limits. The words I heard on the day I first met him, those words were meant for me, but now, they were directed at himself. I'm sorry for being such an inadequate master. I'm sorry for having such a fate and not being able to do anything for you. No, I too am sorry for being so inadequate. The two of us clenched our teeth and apologized to each other. There's nothing more I can do for you. But, although it might not be possible, I'll still try. I'll scour through more ancient texts and rituals to see if someone not born with the fate of a cultivator can be granted permission by the heavens. Thank you. What else can someone abandoned by the heavens do? Heavens have set our fate, but it has not dictated how we live within it. So, let's struggle as much as we can, together. Our eyes met. That's the best I can do for you as your master. I didn't answer. I just clenched my lips and bowed my head. Though silent, we understood each other's hearts. From that day, my daily life changed significantly. I no longer formed hand seals until my fingers bled, nor practiced cultivation methods. Instead, I scoured the Chongmun clan's library with my master, searching through all sorts of ancient texts and ritual books. What is the criterion for those permitted or not permitted by the heavens? Is it because of my internal energy? Or is it because, as a martial artist born without spiritual roots, I forcibly acquired spiritual roots by reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin? Or is it because I came from another world? Or because of my regression? Or is it just my fate? However, among the ancient texts, content about humans rejected by the heavens were extremely rare. It was exceedingly difficult to find. Nevertheless, as I read books about the heavens, the heavenly mechanism, and fate, I began to understand the concept of fate a bit more. It was said that from the chi refining 7th star, cultivators begin to read their own fate. Of course, it isn't detailed, only a rough estimate of their lifespan. And as their cultivation realm ascends, they become more accurate in knowing how much lifespan remains. A chi-building cultivator vaguely knows whether upcoming events in their life will be good or bad. By the core formation stage, this becomes more detailed, understanding the auspiciousness and danger of forthcoming events. For those above the nascent soul stage, there was no information on how accurately they perceive fate, but it was said to be more precise than core formation cultivators. I also found books on human free will. For example, if a mortal is granted about 80 years of lifespan by the heavens, do they necessarily live for 80 years? What happens if a cultivator with bad intentions kill a mortal who has an 80-year lifespan prematurely? The answer was, the heavens only bestows fate, but it doesn't concern itself with how a being walks that fate. In short, humans are given a path named fate, but due to external pressures or their own will, some may not fully complete the path of their destined fate. So that's it. As I read books about fate, I thought about what had happened to me before. Even though my initial life and health conditions changed in many lives, I died on exact the same day, at the same time, under the same circumstances. Does that make sense statistically? Even when my health varied in each life. I once thought that maybe fate really existed and that perhaps I had no free will. But then, when I beheaded Crown Prince Mokli Hyun, for the first time, I died before my destined lifespan and thought that lifespan wasn't fixed. However, according to this book, the heavens granted me a lifespan of about 50 years. If I walk the path of fate properly, I can live according to that lifespan. But if I die earlier due to external pressure or my own choices and will, then I cannot complete the path of the fate granted to me. If fate is a path given to humans, then humans have free will, as asserted by this book. Of course, the problem is that one cannot go beyond the path of the fate given. The book similarly explained fate. Heavens gift humans with fate, but not all humans can walk the path of their given fate. Some, due to lack of willpower, others due to external circumstances. But even if one walks the path of fate to its end, there's no path laid out by the heavens beyond it. That would be the limit of that existence. Humans can live freely until they reach their fate, but reaching beyond is impossible. Living freely during the life gifted by the heavens is the right and virtue of all mortals. With the statement that every being should live freely and gratefully within the life given to them, the book came to an end. Is this book like that? I thought the fate described in the book was similar to the book itself. I don't know how much content the author of the book wanted to include, but there's a limit to the size and amount of the paper, and the book has its own limits. The author writes the desired narrative within the set length of the book, but cannot exceed it. No narrative can go beyond the book. When the book is closed, the story ends. This is the concept of fate. Then, is this really the end for me? Really am I? No, it's not. I clenched my teeth. Even if closing the book means the end, my story continuously returns to the beginning. Surely, heavens have bestowed this fate upon me. If heavens have given me this fate, there must be a reason. I have overcome fate time and time again. In my first life, I was just a miserable beggar destined to die. But what about now? I have mastered the sword. With mediocre talent, I reached the 5 energies converging to the origin, a legendary realm in martial arts. I forcibly acquired the ability to cultivate, said to be possible only for those born with spiritual roots. Even though fate weighed me down, I have surpassed it time and time again. There must be a solution. There must be a solution. I read and reread ancient texts like a madman. One day, my master came with a book, his eyes bloodshot. I found an ancient text in the upper archives of our clan. The book master brought had no title and looked like it was about to turn to dust. Read it. I read the book. It was a collection of ancient unofficial histories. These stories included a young man melting ice in a river with his body heat to catch a carp for his sick mother in winter, and a blind man regaining his sight after praying to the heavens. A story of an old man whose life was extended by performing 1,000 rituals for the heavens, even though he was supposed to die. Although it's unofficial history, and mostly about mortals, don't they share something in common? Yes, miracles happen in impossible situations, right? Especially the last story in the collection about the old man gaining extra life after performing rituals. Maybe. Keep trying and trying again, and it will happen? Yes. These stories contain the lesson that if one devotes all their sincerity, even the heavens are moved. Even mortals can move heavens with their sincerity. Master's voice trembled. Of course, it also means that what we've been doing so far might not be sincere enough. Indeed, who hasn't made an effort? But if one makes an effort and the heavens do not open its doors, what should be done? Let's keep trying rituals. If the heavens reject us once, we try 10 times. If 10 times, then 100. If 100, then 1,000 times. Let's keep performing rituals and endlessly ask if it's really impossible. Master spoke with clenched teeth. Let's ask if this is really where we end. Yes, Master. I also looked at him firmly and nodded. From that day, we traveled everywhere, reading the stars and attempting rituals. Of course, every time we attempted a ritual, clouds would gather, blocking the celestial energy from the heavens. Once we even went to a place called Mount Gugwal in Yingwa to perform a ritual. Master thought that since the peak of Mount Gugwal pierced through the clouds, the ritual there couldn't be covered by clouds. But even on a peak higher than the clouds, ghostly clouds appeared soon after we performed the ritual. As if the heavens, defying the laws of physics, would not let me onto the path of cultivation. Master and I went to many famous mountains and rivers, selecting 7 stars among the 28, performing rituals incessantly. While performing rituals, I also intermittently learned from my master about the Qi refining 8th star. The knowledge of the Qi refining 8th star, the 6 harmonies path, involves applying the 6 harmonies of heaven, earth, and 4 directions to the ritual, stimulating the spiritual power through the method. This stage allows cultivators' formation to grow larger and their spiritual power to fill their entire spiritual meridians, becoming much stronger. Unfortunately, the training methods of the 8th star were useless unless the 7th star was fully mastered. I continued to consistently digest the theory and enlightenment. Meanwhile, I also met Kim Young-hoon from time to time, learning about martial arts and embodying the enlightenment of the 5 energies converging to the origin. TME passed. The day my lifespan was to end was drawing near. Do you have any questions about the 5 elements? Not today. Good. Let's go prepare for the ritual. My lifespan was not much left. I had hoped that reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin would extend my life. But by looking at the books in the Chongmun clan's archive, I realized that I was likely to die with the same lifespan as before. My progress has been significant lately. I have understood the Qi refining 9th star, 5 elements origin, not just the Qi refining 8th star, 6 harmonies path. Of course, I still couldn't practice the cultivation methods of the 9th star. But in terms of pure understanding of the path, I was on par with the Qi refining 9th star cultivator. Recently, I was also previewing content related to the Qi refining 10th star for Images Unity. Still, the process of integrating the 9 palaces, spiritual meridians, and spiritual roots into 2 branches is highly advantageous for me. It was mainly about integrating the meridians, so it was a realm I could certainly reach if given time. Let's begin. The sun is setting. Together with my master, I started the ritual. Of course, clouds gathered again this time, blocking the celestial energy. It's a failure again. Yes. My master nodded and sighed softly. Again, I could hardly remember how many times we had tried. Let's go to the heaven-treading desert tomorrow and try again. It seems the clouds will gather later there. Master. What is it? I opened my mouth to my master, who was trying to smile while collecting the ritual tools. I hope we don't perform the ritual tomorrow. What are you talking about? The celestial energy will be present in heaven-treading desert tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then when? I have something I need to do, master. Could we postpone it for just tomorrow? The next optimal day for the ritual is a month later. Can you return to the Chongmun clan by then? At that, I gave a bitter smile and said, I will return. 20 days from now. That day was the exact day I had been dying in all my lifetimes. The day my lifespan was to end. Chapter 47, Forbidden 3. I infused spiritual energy into a palm-sized flying paper boat. Buzzing. As the spiritual energy was injected, the paper boat swelled in size, took on color, and transformed into a wooden boat. Let's go. I jumped onto the wooden boat, infused it with spiritual energy, formed hand seals, and at the same time, magical runes rose from the boat as it swiftly kicked through the air. 3 days later, I arrived at the border of Biokra and Yingwa using the flying artifact. Flying artifacts at the Qi refining stage travel at the speed of a normal boat. Apparently, to reach the speed of an aircraft, one would need a flying artifact at the Qi building stage or at least have the personal flying skills of core formation cultivators. I enjoyed the scenery and feeling the wind on the paper boat. I looked around. There it is. Flash. As soon as I spotted my target, a brilliant white saber gang surged towards me. I swung my hand. emitting my own sword gang. Our blade gangs weaved through the air like snakes, clashing several times, and after a while, the saber gang that was shot at me was neutralized. Jump! I leapt down from the air and used the light fall technique to fall slowly. It's been a while. Yes, your sword control has improved since I last saw you. I've never stopped practicing sword control. Dual energy sword control isn't just about making a sword move through the air. It involves elevating the control over the sword to a realm beyond unity with the sword, mastering every aspect of the sword, from the sound and material of the sword to the aura emitted by one's martial arts, sword energy, sword gang, mastering everything with consciousness. That's what dual energy sword control is. Therefore, from the moment one achieves dual energy sword control, a martial artist at the 5 energies converging to the origin can freely manipulate not only the sword, but also the sword gang in the air. Of course, manipulating a sword that's not in my hand fundamentally means projecting my consciousness from a distance into the sword. The difference in the 5 energies converging to the origin realm is how naturally one can move a distant sword. But you still have much to learn. Keep training. Yes, I will. I nodded and withdrew the flying boat, still hovering in the sky. Kim Hyung, I heard you started cultivating recently, and it seems true. I felt the pressure of his spiritual power and the size of his consciousness and asked. He smiled awkwardly and said, well, since cultivation techniques are quite convenient in daily life, like flying artifacts. Of course, I'm only a chi refining 2nd star. I have no intention of going beyond that, just using it to assist my martial arts. It's more useful for me to hone my martial arts than to rely on such miscellaneous techniques. I see. His martial arts talent was unparalleled, but it seems his aptitude for cultivation was still better than mine. Even without a good master like me and focusing more on martial arts, he still reached chi refining 2nd star. Recently started, so being at chi refining 2nd star means his aptitude is a little better than mine. Kim Young-hoon chatted casually about how he almost went mad learning the 72 earthly Sha true words, then asked me worriedly, are you sure you're okay with this? Agreeing to such an extreme request. It's fine. I'm happy to contribute to the Chongwon clan, and I agree with your view. Thank you. Those guys, the sooner one of them disappears from this world, the better. Although the Mokli clan lost Yangguo's imperial authority to the Jin clan, the Mokli clan's main family wasn't significantly damaged, just lost their influence over Yanguo and the right to oppress its mortals. The Jin clan stopped interfering with the Mokli clan's affairs after obtaining the imperial authority. While chi refining cultivators from each clan dying in skirmishes wasn't much of a concern unless they were high-ranking, it was a principle to release chi-building elders caught in battle after receiving a ransom. After the Jin clan obtained imperial authority, Kim Young-hoon had little he could do for justice. However, he didn't give up and found loopholes in the agreements between the Jin and Mokli clans and other surrounding cultivator clans. According to what I found, if cultivators from the Jin or Mokli clan at the chi-building stage clash and are captured within Yanguo, they are released after the clans pay a ransom. However, if a cultivator invades the territory of another country, even at the chi-building stage, they can be killed by cultivators from that country's clan. He smiled bitterly. In a few days, I'll drive a cultivator from the Mokli clan to the border of the Biokra. Once I exhaust the Mokli clan cultivator's strength, you can step in and finish them off. That way, I can get rid of scum, and you can kill an invader from Yingguo's Mokli clan without any issues of righteousness. Yes, that makes sense. Kim Young-hoon excitedly explained his plan, and I listened calmly. After hearing all his plans, I made a request. Kim Hyung, I gave you the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts previously. Yes, the unparalleled martial arts you gave me steadily led me to the ultimate pinnacle. I've also added my annotations to the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. Then, knowing your character, you would still have the manual with your annotations. Could you let me read it? Well, that's not impossible. Kim Young-hoon seemed to have recently acquired a new method of storage, as he pulled a thick manuscript from a fist-sized pouch at his waist. The record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts had clearly thickened since I had given it to him. The title hasn't changed. Considering the added content, I would have thought he'd want to leave his mark by changing the title. But Kim Young-hoon smiled bitterly and said, I couldn't change it. I've been following this martial arts manual, merely adding annotations here and there. I added some content, but it's mostly records of trial and error about advancing beyond the ultimate pinnacle. I haven't surpassed this martial art. How could I dare change the title of such a martial art by only adding a few lines of trial and error? Looking at the thickness, it seems more than a few lines of trial and error. The book was 3 or 4 times thicker than when I first gave it to him. It's more than just a few annotations or trial and error. Kim Young-hoon had poured all his effort into trial and error, trying to find a way to surpass the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. Well, even though it's thicker, the fact that I failed remains true. But with this much, it seems different from the original record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts. Why not change the title a bit for distinction? If you insist, he said with a self-deprecating smile. Then let's call it not the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, but the record of surpassing path and martial arts. Whether it's the original title or the new one, the meaning of transcending the path of cultivation remains unchanged. He only changed one character in the title, which hardly made any difference from the original. It's a bit disappointing, but if he doesn't want to change it, what can I do? I read and memorized the entire manuscript. Maybe it's because I became a cultivator and learned things like the 72 earthly Sha true words, or perhaps cultivating enhances memory as it expands consciousness. As my consciousness expanded, my memory improved significantly. I used to have to read and reread thick manuscripts several times in my previous lives to engrave them in my mind, but now, just reading once was enough to imprint everything in my memory. Wait here for a few days. I'll drive the cultivator from the Mockley clan to the Biokra border soon. I'll wait. I sat down and adjusted my physical condition. Kim Young-hoon handed me the record of surpassing path and martial arts to read more if I wished, then took out his flying artifact and flew off towards Yanghua. The weather is nice. According to the astronomical and heavenly mechanism knowledge I learned from my master, the sky would remain clear until the time Kim Young-hoon mentioned. Then, let's take this time to slowly write and organize. I climbed onto a reasonably wide rock, spread out a basic formation to prevent anyone from approaching, and took out a desk, paper, inkstone, and brush from my storage device. I began writing my will, a letter to leave for my master. Even though Kim Young-hoon will exhaust the chi-building cultivator's strength, those at the chi-building stage didn't reach their positions through luck. Each one was an extraordinary being, a formidable foe not to be underestimated. Even if they're weakened, my life would be in danger. But I didn't care. I came here to die. A disciple who struggled all his life and achieved nothing, just to be rejected by the heavens and die when his lifespan ends. I couldn't imagine how painful and helpless it would be for my master. How much had I despised and felt powerless about myself in my past life for not being able to guide my disciples properly. Yet, if a disciple foolishly fights an overpowering opponent and dies in battle, while the master might feel resentment and sorrow, he won't feel self-loathing. Thus, I won't die by the fate set by the heavens. After all, I'm going to die soon. I'll foolishly fight against an overwhelming opponent and die in that way. That's what I decided. Slowly, I continued writing my will. Although it's a will, I couldn't let my master find out that I was going to die. I intended to make it seem like I was just patrolling the Biokra border and asking about my master's well-being. After writing and erasing my will several times, I finally composed one that was satisfactory. When should I send this? Using a transmission talisman, I could send small items with little mass and not require much spiritual energy to a designated person. The transmission talisman's speed was similar to a flying artifact. If I sent it now, it would reach my master in about 3 days. Sending it before the battle starts would be most appropriate. If I send it now, my master, upon receiving the letter early, might calculate the heavenly mechanism and arrange a ritual for me to perform near the border. If I send it after the battle starts and my lifespan is about to end in a few days, then the letter will reach my master 3 days later, sparing him from witnessing his disciple's death. Yes, let's do that. I carefully folded the letter, attached the transmission talisman, and prepared it so that it could be sent to my master with just a burst of spiritual power. Days passed. The day Kim Young-hoon promised arrived. Rumble, rumble. In the distance, dark clouds filled with Een energy were approaching. However, it was much smaller in scale than a typical heavenly phenomenon and seemed artificial. They're coming. A chi-building cultivator from the Mockley clan, bringing clouds with him, was approaching. Flash, flash. Behind him, beams of light burst forth as someone chased after the chi-building elder. It was Kim Young-hoon. It starts now. The last chapter of this life. The time for one final thrilling moment. Whoosh. I infused spiritual energy into the letter with the transmission talisman. It glowed blue and transformed into the shape of a blue hawk. The blue hawk-shaped transmission talisman flew at incredible speed towards the direction of the Chongmun clan. I used the record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts and hidden consciousness technique to erase my presence and consciousness, and even used the earth-dwelling method to hide underground. Shortly after, rumble, rumble, swoosh, dark clouds covered the sky, and rain began to fall. Hidden underground, I looked at the center of the dark clouds. The chi-building elder there had a familiar face. That person is. When we established the palace of heavenly demons, he was one of the 50 chi-building elders who came to destroy the palace. That chi-building elder. Remembering the old days, I recalled establishing the palace, evading the bounty placed by cultivators, and killing them one by one. Eventually, we defeated an early-stage chi-building cultivator and rejoiced with Kim Young-hoon. The next day, 50 chi-building cultivators surrounded and crushed the palace like exterminating pests. That motley clan elder lured Kim Young-hoon with flattery, recalling the despair, regret, and plight of the weak. But now, that fearsome chi-building elder from that time was not present. Curses, these damn Jin clan bastards. Distorted with anger, he desperately waved a flag-shaped artifact controlling the dark clouds. Wearing tattered blue robes and bleeding from all over, he was nothing more than prey. You bastards. Can't you stop? According to the treaty between the Jin and Mokli clans, you can't kill me. I demand to be treated as a legitimate prisoner of war. Stop attacking immediately. Form the array. Yes, Elder. Several chi-refining cultivators from the Jin clan waved their formation flags behind Kim Young-hoon, creating a barrier filled with fiery energy. The Mokli clan elder was trapped in the barrier, and Kim Young-hoon flew towards him with a sneer. When you turned innocent villagers' towns into bloody pools, you felt nothing. Now that your life is in danger, you struggle? You scum. Boom. Several saber gangs flashed around Kim Young-hoon and flew towards the Mokli clan elder. Don't be absurd. Just because I harvested a few pests for materials, you're trying to kill a chi-building elder like me? You're making a big mistake. If you kill me, do you think you'll be safe? Roar. As the Mokli clan elder waved his flag, the dark clouds moved. The clouds coalesced into a cloud dragon in the sky, lunging at Kim Young-hoon. He's stronger than Mokli Wangshin. I assessed the chi-building cultivator's skill based on his cultivation methods. For a while, saber gangs and the chi-building elder's spells clashed. And then, flash, arg. A gust of wind from the Mokli clan elder tore off Kim Young-hoon's arm and waist, while a saber gang from Kim Young-hoon broke through the elder's defensive spells and similarly tore a chunk from his waist. That wound is dangerous. Chi-building cultivators, being more than human, could withstand such injuries, but Kim Young-hoon, at the early stage of chi-refining second star, only has a mortal's physical body. In fact, hadn't Kim Young-hoon fainted from such injuries when he faced Mokli Wangshin in the previous cycle? But then it happened. Support the elder. Hurry. The chi-refining cultivators from the Jin clan, who had set up the barrier, each took out a handful of talismans from their storage artifacts. Flash. Dozens, maybe even hundreds of healing talismans flew to Kim Young-hoon's wounds, sticking to them profusely, and several Jin clan cultivators performed healing spells from beyond the barrier, suturing his wounds. I see. The Jin clan brought along chi-refining cultivators skilled in healing as backup. Kim Young-hoon's condition was fully restored, and he began to shoot saber gangs with a renewed face. Why, you bastards? You just trample on the treaty between the Jin and Mokli clans whenever you feel like it. You can't kill me. I demand to be treated as a proper prisoner of war. Stop this attack at once. Silence. We won't be punished according to the clan rules, and instead will be recognized for reducing the Mokli clan's forces and receive rewards. Crazy fools. Already upset over the massacre in the heaven-treading desert, and now you commit the insane act of killing a chi-building elder. Do you think you will be safe? While remaining hidden, I found an opening on the Mokli clan elder. Now, I concentrated my consciousness, refined my energy. The opening was small, but it was there. Therefore, I needed to widen it. Record of surpassing cultivation and martial arts, the essence. Lurking in the shadows, endless attack. Flash. My focused consciousness shot towards the Mokli clan elder like a ray of light. Simultaneously, he clutched his head and screamed. Arg. Seeing this, Kim Young-hoon also concentrated and used the same technique of lurking in the shadows, endless attack on the elder. With two masters unleashing the decisive move of lurking in the shadows, endless attack, it must feel as if his head is being chopped. I won't miss this chance. Severing mountain swordsmanship. Deep mountain. Releasing all the chi I had gathered at once, I burst through the ground and soared into the sky. In an instant, I dove into the embrace of the Mokli clan elder. This ends now. Flash. Brilliant sword gang formed on my drawn sword. My sword gang slashed at him from within his embrace. Normally, a chi-building cultivator would subconsciously emit protective gang chi, but the Mokli clan elder, having exhausted his spiritual power fighting Kim Young-hoon, had weaker defenses than even a chi-refining cultivator. Boom. My sword gang pierced through his thin protective gang chi, severing his neck. Cut. In that fleeting moment. Flash. A blue light burst forth from within his embrace. A life-saving artifact. Chapter 48, Forbidden 4. The moment the life-saving artifact activated, the Mokli clan elder rocketed upwards at an incredible speed, and my sword gang could only graze his chest instead of striking his neck. Swoosh. Even so, it was enough to slice through his ribs, half his liver, and completely sever one of his lungs. The Mokli clan elder, bleeding profusely, was still alive. Cough. Grlgrglgh. Despite spitting blood foam and barely holding together his falling intestines with spiritual power, he remained alive. Grunt, gasp. That uniform. Chanlun clan. You damned. Colluding with Jin clan. Despite having one lung crushed, he forcibly maintained his bodily functions through spiritual power. Terrifying vitality. But if left alone, he would eventually die from depleting all his spiritual power. Grunt. Cough. Chanlun clan descendant, spare my life. I promise enormous compensation from the main family. Many cultivators from different clans are currently on edge due to the massacre in the heaven-treading desert. In 200 years, there will be a great war, and every cultivator, including chi building, is crucial. I silently held my sword, infusing it with sword gang. Seeing this, the Mockley clan elder gritted his teeth. You fool, don't you understand what's important? I will ensure proper compensation for crossing the Biokra border. Please, I beg you. Buzz. Yik. He dodged my sword gang and started infusing energy into the life-saving artifact. He's pouring his life force into it. Simultaneously, his figure turned blue and reached the edge of the barrier with astounding speed. That's a core formation's escape technique. The life-saving artifact seemed to allow lower-level cultivators to mimic the flying techniques used by core formation cultivators. Damn it, I won't die like this. No way. Boom. The elder released all his power in a burst, shattering the barrier like a paper wall, creating an escape route. The backlash caused the Jin clan chi refining cultivators who had set up the array to spit out blood. You can't escape. Huh. Catch me if you can. He gripped the life-saving artifact on his chest and used the escape technique again. In a blink, he moved another 30 meters away. Catch him. Yes. I swiftly kicked through the air, shooting sword gang. You fools. I won't die so easily to your schemes. Flash. He activated the life-saving artifact again, and with a blue light, his figure moved further away once more. That direction is. The faces of me, Kim Young-hoon, and other Jin clan chi refining cultivators twisted. He is flying towards the Mockley clan's outpost on the Yingwa border. Block him. We can't let him reach the outpost and receive support from Mockley clan's chi building cultivators. I'm aware. Kim Young-hoon and I furiously pursued the Mockley clan elder, and a chase across the border region began. Whoosh. I swung my sword, shooting sword gang, and quickly formed hand seals to recite the Earth Imprisonment incantation, corresponding to the Earth Imprisonment star. Earth Imprisonment. Rumble. Pillars of earth shot up, attempting to trap the Mockley clan elder. However, as he formed hand seals, a gust of wind tore through the earth bars, scattering them back towards me. Flash. I assessed the space, dodging the falling debris, and leapt into the air. At the same time, I unleashed a powerful sword slash with transcending peaks. A semicircular white sword gang shot towards the elder. Huh. As he formed hand seals, energy coalesced into dark clouds, enveloping him and deflecting my sword gang. Simultaneously, the dark clouds transformed into a cloud dragon and shot towards me. But I charged straight towards him. Unstoppable. Flash. A tremendous wave of intent resonated behind me, and the sound of gang chi compression sphere echoed. Boom. A fist-sized orb of light passed by me, entering the cloud dragon's mouth, exploding it, and rushing towards the Mockley clan elder. I cannot die. Flash. He again infused life force into the life-saving artifact, disappearing with a blue light, and simultaneously, an explosion of saber gang erupted at his former location. A storm of light. Numerous light streams filled the space in front of me as if painting with saber scars. As the explosion subsided, I burst through the light storm, extending a massive sword strike towards the fleeing Mockley clan elder. Severing mountain swordsmanship. Chi Mountain, Heart Heaven. The sword gang enhanced and expanded, widening its range as it extended towards the elder of the Mockley clan. Whoosh. My elongated sword gang struck down the elder, sending him crashing to the ground below. Frowning, I formed hand seals to create an earthen prison. The sword gang's impact felt dull. It didn't cut through. Even amidst this, he had managed to raise his protective gang chi, turning a deadly strike into a mere hit. Earth imprisonment. Rumble. Pillars of earth rose, encasing the elder of the Mockley clan. However, with a powerful shout from within the earthen prison, my spell shattered and exploded. Indeed, chi-building cultivators are in a league of their own. Neither sword gang nor spells could deliver a decisive blow, but it didn't matter. I had successfully hindered him. Kim Young-hoon arrived anew, unleashing a barrage of gang spheres. 9 spheres cascaded towards the elder. Flash, flash, flash. A storm of light relentlessly pressed in. Amidst the tempest, a blue streak of light flickered. I cannot die, not like this. The elder of the Mockley clan desperately activated his life-saving artifact, narrowly escaping Kim Young-hoon's onslaught. His abdomen is torn open, and one arm had vanished. Yet, he forcibly regenerated an arm using spiritual power and continued his escape. Not even a cockroach. I was astounded by his tenacity. What kind of human is this? Chi-building cultivators don't die easily unless their head, heart, or dantian is completely destroyed. That saying is indeed true. Chi-building cultivators can substitute the functions of lost organs with the spiritual power they've cultivated. Though the concept seemed absurd, it was proven true. Of course, he would die once his spiritual power was depleted. But for now, he remained alive. Kim Young-hoon and I relentlessly pursued him. While I hindered him, Kim Young-hoon followed up with lethal attacks. The elder continually resorted to his life-saving artifact, narrowly escaping each time. This cycle repeated, and despite being nearly dead, the elder kept consuming pills from his storage bag, barely managing to survive. It's hard to end this in one strike. The biggest problem was his efficiency countering the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts technique of erasing perception. He has more and stronger magical artifacts than Mokli Wangshin, and it seems the technique had become well known due to previous confrontations with the Mokli clan. And he has so many pills. He kept popping them like snacks. Dragging this out is troublesome. The day was fading. I clenched my teeth and launched my flying sword after the Mokli clan elder. In any normal situation, this would be pointless. For Chi-building cultivators, unless their protective aura's weak point is precisely targeted, sword gang and sword strikes are ineffective. But the elder, now pale as a ghost, dodged my flying sword. To the nearly dead elder, even my flying sword posed a tremendous threat. Swoosh! My flying sword again narrowly missed the elder. In a chaotic battle, it's hard to precisely control a flying sword. A stable footing was necessary. I landed and touched the ground. Swift as the sky, I chanted the Sky Speed Star incantation and cast a spell. Rumble! The earth coalesced, forming a circular platform under my feet. As I changed my hand seals, the platform slid across the earth. Rumble! The ground beneath became my vehicle. Trees and rocks swiftly passed behind me. High above, the now slower elder of the Mokli clan was visible. I, on the ground, and Kim Young-hoon in the sky, surrounded him, unleashing gang spheres and sword gangs. Standing on the platform, I took a stance and gripped my sword. I'll end this. The end of life is always poignant. How painful were the moments of death. But the death in this life seems particularly meaningful. The sun had set. Before dawn the next day, my life would come to an end. Here I go. Severing mountain swordsmanship. 11th move, cliff edge. Crash. I didn't unsheath my sword. Still in its scabbard, I sliced through and launched my sword gang towards the sky. With incredible speed, my sword gang shot upwards, and from above, 9 orbs of light descended. Caught in between, the elder of the Mokli clan panicked, then resignedly smiled and formed a hand seal. You've won. The sky was filled with light. Amidst the storm of light, I saw the elder of the Mokli clan being diced, his protective aura scattering away. Cough. The cultivator, once soaring in the sky, now fell to the ground. Thud. Barely alive. His remaining spiritual power was equivalent to a chi-refining 1st or 2nd star cultivator. Even that was fading. His life force flickered and his heartbeat weakened. You may take his last breath. Understood. I approached the dying elder with a weary body. This cultivator, who had once brought storms and darkened skies, now writhed pitifully, a mere insect. I recalled my past life. The dark clouds he summoned, the sinister gaze he cast down upon us. Now, this once mighty chi-building cultivator lay in such a state. To think, at the brink of death, you chi-building cultivators are no different from the mere mortals you so much disdain. I calmly lifted my sword. At that moment, I am no different from mortals. The elder of the Mokli clan, with bloodshot eyes, stared at me. Don't make me laugh. I am Mokli Yunryan, an elder of the great Mokli clan, a distinguished cultivator. Flash. Don't dare compare me to mere mortals. His body swelled, emitting a putrid stench and blue light. I immediately realized his intention. Self-destruction. Swoosh. I hastily retreated as a blinding explosion enveloped the area. What's this? The explosion was massive in light, but limited in destructive range and power. More like a flashbang than an explosion. Suddenly, I understood his plan. Kim Hyung, we must escape. In this vicinity. Kagugugu. The stench of rotting corpses wafted through the air as a stream of green water, heavily mixed with corpse poison, surged towards us like a river. Kururuk, kruk, queek, keek. I hastily leaped into the air to avoid the green stream, but from within it, zombies poured out and leaped up, swinging their nails at me. Damn, this is... Cha! The green stream whirled up into a vortex. From the center of the whirlpool, a middle-aged cultivator in blue emerged, holding a whisk. The sheer size of this aura. This pressure of spiritual power. Another chi-building cultivator. and this overwhelming spiritual aura. Not just any ordinary chi-building cultivator. Late-stage chi-building. A powerful figure on par with Mokli Wangshin. A distress flare suddenly burst into the sky, and it turns out to be a rescue signal sent by Yun Ryan. The cultivator in blue at the center of the whirlpool flicked his finger, and the green waters brought him the clothes and the evening dew left behind by Mokli Yun Ryan. He was an excellent alchemist. The high-quality elixirs he created numbered in the tens of thousands. He grinded his teeth as he glared at us. The cultivator from the Chongmun clan and the decisive weapon of the Jin clan. It seems you've cleverly exploited the treaty between Jin and Mokli to kill Yun Ryan. Realizing the situation, he alternated his gaze between me and Kim Young-hoon, beginning to gather spiritual power. Do not think you can die easily. However, Kim Young-hoon sneered and unleashed another powerful technique. I wonder where you get such confidence. Even Mokli Yun Ryan, who reached the 4th stage of chi building, couldn't stop me. Do you really think I would fear someone only at the 3rd stage? Ha ha ha. I know you're exhausted from dealing with Yun Ryan. Even if the low-level cultivators of the Jin clan assist, their spiritual power is nearly depleted. You are not enough. If I were alone, that might be the case. But the brother from the Chongmun clan with me has power just below the chi building stage, beyond the 14th star of chi refining. Together, joining forces? He laughed dismissively. Ah, you seem to be under a misunderstanding. When did I ever say I came alone? Cool. The dark night sky. Dark storm clouds were gathering again. Similar to the phenomena caused by Mokli Yun Ryan, the clouds seemed to mimic his techniques. Though the clouds were about a quarter the size of those summoned by Mokli Yun Ryan, cold sweat ran down my back. It seems as if the sky is covered with Yin energy. One of the later generation disciples from our clan happened to be nearby gathering materials, so we came together. Uncle Mokli-gun, you left too soon. The newcomer was a young man dressed in blue. With an ethereal look, he managed his spiritual power effortlessly, revealing his formidable presence. Mid-chi building, and almost transitioning to the late stage. A direct descendant of the Mokli clan. A figure worthy of being called a later generation disciple has appeared. Is it not that you're too slow, little June? Well, anyway, thanks for coming. You take care of those Jin clan remnants and the Chongmun clan guy. I'll deal with the external elder of the Jin clan. Yes, but who sent the flare signal? Yun Ryan has passed away. Upon hearing this, the young man's face twisted in shock. Yun Ryan? How could such a great alchemist? It seems like Jin and Chongmun clans conspired together. Using the pretext of crossing the border into Biokra, they assassinated Yun Ryan. These despicable scum. The young man from Mokli clan grimaced with malice. You don't know who you've killed. The most respected alchemist under the core formation elders of Mokli clan. Many disciples have lost the chance to learn from him, and you cannot imagine how many precious elixirs that could have been refined are now lost. I stared emotionlessly at the ranting young man, preparing my technique. Lucky me. Killing you here will save hundreds, maybe thousands of lives. Today was likely my last day. I had chosen this place as my grave. I wasn't afraid to die, but what weighed on my mind was, Kim Hyung, run as far as you can. Kim Young-hoon dying here without being able to reach his goal. While I was okay with my imminent death, I wished for him to live a little longer. I'll try to buy as much time as I can. Using endless mountains beyond mountains, I charged at the younger, seemingly weaker mid-chi building cultivator. This is laughable. Cool. Yin wind gusted. Beyond the Yin wind, a ring of Yin energy flew towards me. Using Severing Mountain swordsmanship, I cut through chi building spell and occasionally used my own techniques to counter. Cut through everything. I slashed, parried, and dodged numerous spells, finding a sliver of an opening. Cut. My sword, in a swift motion, aimed at the mid-stage chi building young man. Severing Mountain swordsmanship, 20-second move, Severing Mountain. All 21 forms unleashed at once, exploding through my sword. Breakthrough. Severing Mountain. The final form, named for its power to even cut through mountains, surged towards the mid-chi building man. And then, Kang. My sword broke. Not just the sword, but the sword gang covering it shattered into pieces. Was it a defensive spell? No. A counterattack? No. Did he use a magic artifact? No. The mid-chi building young man was doing nothing. Just emitting protective gang chi using pure spiritual force. He looked at me as if I was a joke. His mere presence was enough to repel the onslaught of sword gang from a 5 energies converging to the origin martial artist. So this is a chi building cultivator. A novice who had just entered chi building could be dealt with using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts and other martial arts, risking life in a fight. However, a cultivator who has truly experienced chi building and reached the mid-stage is an impossible opponent for a 5 energies converging to the origin martial artist. Unlike Mokli Yun Ryan, who was nearly beaten to death by Kim Young-hoon, This young man is full of spiritual and physical strength. Oh, I see. I realized I have no chance against him. Even facing Mokli Wangshin in my past life was possible only because his strength had fallen from the 3rd stage of Qi building to the 4th star of Qi refining. Anything beyond that is out of reach. Is this all you have? You insect. Quang. Immense energy gathered in the young man's hand, forming a dragon claw. The dragon claw struck me, sending me crashing down into the forest below. Cook. If I hadn't instinctively released my strength and deployed a defensive spell, I would have died in one blow. There was a clear difference in our levels. Cough. Cough. Struggling to rise, I spat blood, unable to move my legs. I saw pieces of my intestines mixed in the coughed-up blood. It seems my intestines are ruptured. Cough. Cough. Kaha. Kaha. I coughed up blood, looking up at the night sky covered in dark clouds. The green-robed cultivator was already pressing Kim Young-hoon in combat. I can't be more ashamed. Running away? Buying time? I had been overwhelmed so easily, now lying helplessly. Shameful, utterly shameful. An unaccomplished life. I never achieved anything, merely confirming that even the heavens have rejected me. I barely reached the mid-stage of 5 energies converging to the origin. After the 7th star of Qi refining, I only studied in theory, never reaching higher as the heavens forbid it. Even my death, which I thought would be somewhat honorable, turned out to be a miserable end, treated like vermin. Pathetic. Chungmun clan's martial artist of 5 energies converging to the origin is you? Daring to face a cultivator with just some lump of iron in your hand. Even the little cultivation you have is only up to the 7th star of Qi refining. Pathetic and useless. The young man from Mokli clan clicked his tongue, forming a seal. Since you dared to kill a member of my clan, under the pretext of border invasion, I too will kill you under the same pretext. My body was lifted by his spell, crossing the border between Biokra and Yinghua. Regret killing a great alchemist of my clan as you die like an insect. He formed another seal. I felt a bitter smile on my lips. An insect like fate. True enough. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape this fate. What could I do when even the heavens deny me? No matter how hard I tried, it was impossible to reach beyond. I closed my eyes, waiting for death that was approaching. An unfulfilled life. The end of a tenacious life came just like that. I thought it was my 7th return. Quang. An explosion sounded, and the binding spiritual power of the Mokli clan cultivator dispersed. I opened my eyes and looked at the person who freed me. A very familiar back. Master? My master, Chongmun Ryong, stood in front of me. How did you come here? I asked in confusion, but master didn't turn to me and replied shortly. Didn't you send a letter? Yes? But that should take at least 3 days to arrive. 3 days? You've always been slow, but is even your letter to your master slow? Before you left, I put a much better transmission talisman in your storage device. Master sighed and waved his hand. In his hand was my crumpled letter. Did you think I wouldn't know? You fool. I could tell your emotions just from your handwriting. I thought I had written with maximum emotional restraint. But it seems impossible to fool the eyes of my master. My disciple, why are you so frustrating to the end? I have conducted rituals and read the celestial omens with you countless times. I have read the celestial omens concerning you by myself hundreds of times. Did you think I wouldn't know that your end is near? It seemed that you knew your life was coming to an end, so you sent the letter. But what is this? Did you come here wanting to die honorably? Did you really intend to fight and die without telling me anything? Master scolded me with a tone of anger. I couldn't help shed tears. Master's intent was a deep, dark blue. The intent of sorrow. Like the dark clouds covering the sky, his intent was also deeply colored with sorrow. I'm sorry. And then, I had to hear the words I least wanted to hear from my master. I failed you. I couldn't do anything for you. No, it's not your fault. I don't know how much time is left in your life, but still, shouldn't you say goodbye in front of your master? Master still didn't turn to me as he spoke. Somehow I knew why. Master's voice was trembling. Yes, I will do that. Then it happened. Mokli Jun chuckled and shouted at my master. Huh. Your disciple crossed the border of Yinghua recklessly, so I have to deal with him. Step aside. You seem to be under a strange misunderstanding. It's not the Qi refining cultivators who are forbidden to cross borders without permission, but the main forces of each clan, the Qi building cultivators. Therefore, my disciple has no reason to be judged by you. Huh, that's interesting. Then, as a Qi building cultivator from Biokra, you are also currently standing in Yinghua's land, so you fall under judgment too. Yinghua's land. Kagugagu. Green spiritual energy began to swirl around Master. Young one, you are mistaken. The territories among cultivator clans are not clearly defined by mortal laws. It's not about the borders of Yinghua or Biokra as defined by mortals. The territories are based on the dragon veins, flowing through each land. The territories are marked based on the land where spiritual energy suitable for each cultivator clan flows. It's the countries of mortals that have been established under those territories, not the other way around. Kagugugu. Master's formation diagram spread around him. Simultaneously, the nature of the energy around us changed. Kagugugu. This is, the energy of the dragon vein is changing. The original spiritual energy of this land was pushed out and started to recede. In other words, dragon veins are the proof of the territory of cultivator clans. So long as I maintain the dragon veins, this land is our territory. Now it's the opposite. You have invaded the land of Chongmon, Biok, and Gongmyo, the 3 clans of Biokra. Get lost. If you dare to disturb the last moments between me and my disciple, I will not forgive you. Eek, eek. Mokli Jun formed a seal, trying to drive away the dragon veins summoned by Master's formation diagram. However, whether it was due to the difference in skill and experience in handling spells and formations, his attempts to counter the formation were all thwarted. I will not allow anyone to harm my disciple. Chapter 49, Giant Tree. What nonsense. Regardless, you have invaded the land of Yanghua, belonging to Jin and Mokli clans. I will personally judge you. Judge? How dare a mere child try to judge? Did I not tell you? As long as the dragon vein encompasses this area, it is the land of the 3 clans. In terms of dragon veins, formations, and basic spells, there's no one in Biokra, Yanghua, and Shengji who can match me, Chongmon Ryan. What do you know to speak so foolishly? Huh? Nonsense. Well, Chongmon Ryan. I have heard of that name. Mokli Jun sneered as he continued. Among the chi-building cultivators, there are 3 great figures. Mokli Yunryan in alchemy, Gongmyo Cheon-sik in artifact refining, and you, Chongmon Ryan, in formations and basic spells. I once researched who these revered individuals were. I wondered how dare anyone compare themselves to our Yunryan of the Mokli clan. Gongmyo Cheon-sik may be a vulgar man, but his skills are undoubtedly strong. As for you, you have trained for hundreds of years, and yet are still at the early stage of chi building. Even that at the tail, and not the winnowing basket. How dull, stupid, and lazy must one be to not even fully reach the early stage of chi building. He laughed mockingly, revealing his murderous intent. Such a master, such a disciple. I heard that in the main house of Chongmon clan, there's a useless creature that just consumes food and does nothing, studying basic spells, understanding before breakthrough, sitting idly. That fool over there who sought teachings from such trash must be as stupid, dull, lazy, and as worthless as that trash. This place is now the land of the 3 clans. Then if I kill you, the dragon vein will recede, and it will become our land again. Kugugugugu. Dark clouds writhed above his head. An energy surged from him, coloring the surroundings. I looked at those dark clouds. Clouds blocking the sky. The will of the heavens rejecting me. Master, speak. Disciple has lived a life achieving nothing. It's shameful. Master clenched his fist, but he paused for a moment, as if to listen to what I had to say. But, Master, I know your strength. After clashing with that chi-building cultivator this time, I am even more certain of it. Staggering, I stood up and approached my master. Although you are at the early stage of chi building, I have realized that you can definitely defeat that man. Doesn't that mean everything you have done has meaning? That the years of your efforts have value? Master, I feel that my life is nearly spent, and I humbly ask you. I knelt behind him and made my request. The teachings you have given me, all the hardships you have endured in your life, they have meaning. I wish to see it with my own eyes. Please make that rude man regret his words. You should not be subjected to such disrespect. All right. Master finally turned around to face me. He hugged me once and then held my hand. Rough and calloused. The skin of a life spent in hard training. Of course, I was planning to do so. My disciple, Ku, a cloud dragon descended upon us from the sky. Save your melodrama for after you're dead. Flash. Boom. As Master raised his hand, the cloud dragon exploded. Master turned his back again and glared at Mokli Jun, speaking. First, there are a few things in your nonsense that need correcting. Kugugugugu. Green spiritual energy once again burst forth from around Master. Wood, element spiritual energy. First, as you said, I am indeed a dull, stupid, lazy trash. However, my disciple is not dull. The dull ones are those stupid fools who rely on their innate qualities and are lazy in their efforts. The spiritual energy of wood moved, drawing a formation diagram around Master. Second, my disciple is not stupid. He may lack talent, but how could a stupid person learn martial arts and break through the cultivation barrier? The ground filled with green burst with light. Third, my disciple is not lazy. He practiced incantations until his throat was sore, practiced hand seals until his hands bled, and continuously practiced his unique swordplay amidst all this. He is definitely not lazy. The green spiritual energy converged from various places, and sprouts of energy began to emerge from the ground. Within a radius of 10 zhong, approximately 30 meters, Master's domain spread, with countless sprouts of spiritual energy bursting forth. The darkness in the sky seemed to be pushed back by the light emerging from the earth. Fourth, my disciple is not trash. He has worked harder and respected me more than the naturally talented but undisciplined scions of the main family. If such a person is trash, then who in this world is not? Huh. As if to prove you're not an insect, you're ardently defending your insect-like disciple. Fifth, green trees of spiritual energy grew around Master. A forest formed entirely of spiritual power emerged. You may dismiss me as an insect, but the Chongmun clan does not solely base its hierarchy on inherited bloodlines. Chongmun clan venerates the Tao of combat. Our ranks are determined by the immortal combat meeting held every few years. Those with low ranks are pushed to the outer domains, while those with high ranks are granted the right to stay in the main house. And I have been researching and developing techniques in the main house for nearly 150 years. So what? You're still just at the first stage Qi building. I am at the second stage. With the assistance of the third stage Qi building cultivator who is about to suppress that external elder from Jin clan, you have no chance of winning. Sixth, flash. The forest of spiritual energy suddenly grew massive. Kugugugugu. My lifetime of dedication to understanding before breakthrough the teachings I have given my disciple were never wrong. Countless trees combined to form a giant tree, reaching towards the sky. Disciple, I am an incapable master. Thus, I could neither do anything for you, nor could I give you anything. But, the teachings I taught you, everything you've learned. Cloud dragons converged and roared towards the giant tree. That they were never wrong. That they were not meaningless. That's all I can show you. Disciple, you and I, we were never wrong. Then, the giant tree began to move. Starting now, I'll prove it. Quagwagwagwa. The branches of the giant tree extended. Suddenly, thorny branches shot towards the sky, trapping the cloud dragons. Is this the principle of the earthly imprisonment incantation? No, I was shocked as I closely observed the giant tree. It wasn't just a mass of spiritual energy. Hundreds, thousands, millions, even billions of incantations and spells composed the giant tree. Innumerable incantations and magical runes formed the giant tree. And simultaneously, spells began to shoot from the giant tree. Quagwagwang. A cascade of light surged. Thousands of spells fired from the giant tree began to puncture holes in the sky. The dark clouds tore apart, revealing the starry night sky. What is this? Understanding before breakthrough. Breakthrough followed by understanding. Many talk about them as if they are equivalent. Breakthrough followed by understanding sounds grand. But isn't it just a fancy way to describe relying on innate talent to easily ascend in realms? Mokli Jun hastily employed spells and magical abilities. Energy gathered, and rain began to fall. But the giant tree radiated light. My master, atop the giant tree, formed seals at an unseen speed and shouted. To reach ascendance through endless practice of incantations, spells, and hand seals. That is understanding before breakthrough. Those who use spells relying solely on instinct, without any understanding. Compared to us who master all spells and ascend based on them. How can we be on the same level? The giant tree's spells clashed with the cloud dragon's magical abilities numerous times. Each time, the air vibrated, and waves of spiritual energy swept through heaven and earth. When I ascend to a realm through understanding before breakthrough, I am confident to overpower anyone in the same realm. Each time the giant tree collided with the cloud dragon, the appearance of the giant tree began to change. The tree gradually transformed into a human figure. The wooden figure swung its arms. The cloud dragon's energy descended from the sky. Zeong. Whirlwinds howled, and the clouds formed circular ripples. Mokli Jun's cloud dragon was torn apart, and the wooden figure became more distinct. The wooden figure, resembling Master's appearance, took the form of a towering giant. Rooted deep in the earth, reaching towards the sky. That was Master. Master was the giant tree. Thump, thump. Ah, it's beautiful. At the same time, I felt my heart strangely pounding. The day I was to die, the time of my death was approaching. Can I live? I hadn't fully grasped what Master was showing me. How could it be time to die already? It felt so unfair. Heaven above, you gave me nothing. And yet, why do you so cruelly take my life away? Thump, thump. I suddenly realized my heart was exhibiting abnormal symptoms. Heart attack. Though my body was injured in battle, it still had plenty of vitality. My internal organs were slightly damaged, but not fatally. I wondered how the heavens would take my life. It seems like it would be a sudden death. Is this how it ends? I tried to focus on Master's battle as my vision blurred. Master, this unworthy disciple. I felt indignant. Master was fighting so hard for me. And what about me? A mere decree of fate. Was I to leave without fully receiving Master's final gift because of that? Can humans truly not defy their fate? No, it can't be. What about cultivation? What about the elixirs made by the Mockley clan? Can I defy my fate with such elixirs? I refused to accept it. Even if it meant dying, I wanted to imprint this scene in my memory. My master's final battle. I channeled spiritual power into my hand. The power that chi-building cultivators call pure spiritual force. I pressed my hand, filled with force, against my heart, forcibly pushing the force into it. Ugh! It was excruciating. My heart felt like it was about to burst. Yet, stimulated by the energy, my heart started beating again. Thump, thump, thump. Heavens above, what will you do now? My heart beats again. I wouldn't die just yet. Kugagugagoo. Suddenly, a tree behind me broke and fell towards me. Ugh! Ignoring the pain in my heart, I rolled away, narrowly avoiding the tree. Crash! As I touched the ground, a venomous snake emerged from a hole and bit my fingertips. A powerful poison, judging by the snake's pattern. Is it fated that a dying man must die? Nonsense. I won't die like this. Shiek. I manipulated my internal energy to expel the venom infiltrating my bloodstream, expelling it through my fingertips. Thump, thump, thump. And when heavens above couldn't kill me in several ways, it stopped my heart again, but I kept stimulating it with energy. My heart will not obey. Without the painful stimulation of energy, my heart would stop instantly. But now is the time. Thump. My heart beats. On this day, at this time, at this moment, I was supposed to be dead. But I am alive, forcibly stimulating my heart with energy. Though I would die when my spiritual power is exhausted, I am still alive for now. Heavens above, I am alive. Though I may die soon, I will embrace this moment. Despite the excruciating pain, I continued to watch Master's battle. The giant tree increasingly resembled Master. Finally, flash. The tree completely transformed into Master's image. My formation is complete. My giant tree-akin Master began to form seals. The Master-like tree, disproportionate in size, also formed seals at an astonishing speed, just like Master's usual speed. Around the wooden giant, even larger spells began to appear. What is this? It's not over. Kugagugagoo. Again, thousands of spells. This time in an enlarged state, headed towards Mockley June. The cloud dragon he released was barely a match for the basic spells used by the wooden giant. There was more. Bright light flashed, and a formation diagram spread around the Master resembling wooden giant. The nearby mountain range fell within its influence. Isn't this the formation range of a core formation cultivator? Activate. As Master formed a seal, so did the wooden giant. Simultaneously, sprouts around it grew into trees. Then, the trees combined, soaring into the sky. The giant tree pierced the clouds. Disperse. With the massive force from the giant tree, it seemed to tear apart Mockley June's dark clouds in a circular motion. The beautiful starry night sky, hidden behind the clouds, was revealed. Conclude. Simultaneously, buds sprouted, flowers bloomed, and fruits formed on the ends of the branches of the giant tree. The fruits shone like stars. The little sprouts that had grown from the earth now shone like stars in the sky. Go. The fruits fell. I knew. Each of these fruits was a concentration of uncountable spells. Mockley June, with a stunned expression, watched the shower of fruits falling toward him, uttering incoherent sounds. Quagwagwang. A storm of light swept over. A massive spherical explosion occurred, and that was the end. Inside the explosion, there was no trace of Mockley June, not even his clothes or belongings. Go. However, that wasn't the end. The remaining fruits, floating gently, flew towards the late chi-building cultivator of the Mockley clan, who was fighting in the distance. What? Qualong. As Mockley Goon made a gesture, a massive wave of green water rose, seemingly blocking the fruits. But seizing the opportunity, Kim Young-hoon, who had flown towards him, unleashed a barrage of gang spheres. No. In an instant, Kim Young-hoon's strand of gang chi pierced Mockley Goon's heart, causing him to fall to the ground. A few remaining fruits also fell towards where he lay. Qualong. Another massive explosion enveloped the area. Thump, thump. As Master's spell-formed body, towering high into the sky, began to crumble. Thump, thump. Simultaneously, I realized my spiritual power was nearly depleted. Just a little more, just a bit more. I had to bid farewell to Master. Converting all my internal and spiritual energy into force, I forced my heart to keep beating. My meridians tangled, and my body was in shambles, but even as I coughed up blood, I greeted Master. Returning to the ground, Master looked pale. I may have overexerted myself a bit, but I have shown you everything. I saw his complexion and asked, "You've depleted your vital energy." I could have defeated that guy in a war of attrition, drying up his blood. Using the wooden man technique to its completion and then attempting a second transformation would have been enough to win comfortably. I only ended it quickly because it seems like you couldn't hold on much longer. Huh. Thank you, master. Thump, thump. My disciple, you are my pride. The scions of the clan came to me for teachings, but not one of them could withstand my harsh words and critiques. But you stubbornly stayed until the end and received all the teachings of my understanding before breakthrough. Master walked over to me, held my shoulder, and placed a hand on my forehead. This is all I can do for you. All I can give you is the knowledge you couldn't learn. Whoa. Knowledge started flowing into my mind. A technique to directly infuse knowledge into consciousness. I received the spells Master just used and the chi building techniques he had mastered. It may seem useless to a disciple about to die, but this is my heart. If it's not a burden, take it. Master's grace. I smiled, stood up, and faced the dawn. In the background, daybreak was coloring the sky. Despite forcing my heart to beat, I survived a whole day longer than my fated lifespan. However, this seemed to be the end. My internal and spiritual energy were all depleted. This was it. The morning sun shone over the mountains. Thump. Now truly the end. But as a disciple, I cannot end it like this. If I only receive from Master without even expressing gratitude, how can I be a true disciple? Boom. My internal energy was completely exhausted, but I punched my chest fiercely. My chest bore the imprint of my fist. With my punches, my heart was forced to beat again. Boom, boom, boom. If I'm going to die, let it be more painful. Master, realizing what I was doing, trembled his lips, made a decision, and sat down in a meditative posture. I prostrated before Master, who was sitting cross-legged. Once, twice, thrice. My heart stopped again, but I kept beating my chest to force it to beat. 4, 5, 6 times. Drip, drip. Why was it still dark blue around me, even though the dark clouds had cleared? Why was it still raining? It's not dark clouds. It was Master's sorrow and tears. 7, 8, 9 times. I performed the 9 prostrations. The 9 prostrations are not simply bowing 9 times to one's master. They represent 9 different ways of prostrating. A tradition that originated in martial arts and became distorted. But even if the tradition was distorted, it was insufficient to express my feelings. What's important in a ritual is not its origin, but whether it suffices to express one's heart. For the last time, once more. After offering 10 prostrations, I addressed Master with a hoarse voice. I have received immeasurable grace from Master. Thank you, and farewell. Go on then. Farewell. Tears fell. I thought they were from Master's face, but they were falling from my eyes as well. Rest, my beloved disciple. With those final words, I closed my eyes. As dawn painted the sky, a master, having received his disciple's prostrations, shed tears over the now cold body of his disciple. You were the giant tree in my heart. Initially, a bothersome little sprout. But as 10, 20 years passed, the sprout grew into a tree, growing and growing, becoming an irreplaceable giant tree, a pillar supporting the heart of Changman Rao. But now, that giant tree was no more. Rest in peace. A disciple who has strived all his life. Changman Rao wished for his disciple's posthumous peace, laying the body that had died while prostrating properly. Changman Rao took a seed from his pouch and placed it on the disciple's chest. As he infused wood element spiritual energy into it, the seed began to react. Kugugugugu. The seed sprouted rapidly, covering the disciple's body, growing into a giant tree. Soon, the tree grew so large that it surpassed any in the nearby forest, and only then did Changman Rao withdraw his hand. The tree was a quince tree. Changman Rao, caressing the tree that resembled his disciple, spoke. I will not forget you. Whoosh. As if the soul of Seo Eunhyun was ascending, a strong wind blew from the base of the quince tree up into the heavens. Changman Rao looked up through the branches of the quince tree into the sky. This was Seo Eunhyun's 7th return. Chapter 50, 7 Cycles, First Day. I slowly opened my eyes. My chest still ached. Was it because of the heartache I experienced just before dying in my past life? Or was it phantom pain from the fierce beating of the heart? Or perhaps, it was the sorrow of never being able to see my master again, with whom I had formed a bond. I, your disciple, will etch Master in my heart. Though separated forever by a separate timeline, our time together will not be forgotten. After making this short vow, I formed a hand seal. There was not a speck of spiritual power in my body, but the hand seals, perfected through understanding before breakthrough, could be activated with just the faintest energy flowing inside me. With a burst of energy, as the hand seal was activated, the other companions around me, just about to wake up, fell back into sleep without me needing to do anything. After using the hand seal, I felt a throbbing in my head. This sensation, something is wrong with my upper dantian. It felt like something massive was crammed inside the upper dantian. After a moment of contemplation, I realized what it was. My consciousness has reached the level of Qi refining 7th star. Considering that the consciousness of a 5 energies converging to the origin martial artist is around the level of Qi refining 3rd or 4th star. The size of my consciousness, having cultivated further to reach Qi refining 7th star, was about the size of Qi refining 10th star. It was strange that my upper dantian remained intact, given that a consciousness of that size was compressed within it. It seems my body, not yet having undergone rejuvenation in the 5 energies converging to the origin, is struggling to cope with the upper dantian. To address this pain, I dug up some yellow bamboo roots nearby to eat and immediately entered rejuvenation. Once again, the 5 elements of heaven and earth energy flowed into my body, and I regained the 5 elements spiritual roots, grasping the qualities of a cultivator. Only after undergoing the transformation and acquiring a body capable of withstanding the consciousness did the headache cease. Simultaneously, the compressed consciousness in the upper dantian unfolded properly after reaching 5 energies converging to the origin, revealing its form. It was the same size as my consciousness in the previous life. I felt a faint sense of nostalgia looking at it. Something else has been transmitted through time. At the same time, I grasped one of the laws of regression. What regresses are only my soul and consciousness. If the consciousness grows before regression, its size is maintained. I first took my companions to a cave and kept them asleep with a sleep spell. Then, I pondered about this life. Heavens do not permit me. What should I do? The main reason for becoming a cultivator was to investigate the Ascension Gate. In my past life in the Chunmun clan, I had used the clan's library to learn about the Ascension Gate. The information wasn't much different from what I already knew. Nevertheless, the Ascension Gate is a spatial rift that opens once every 1,000 years. Once open, it gradually shrinks over 6 months before fully closing. To withstand the spatial pressure inside the Ascension Gate, one must at least have the defensive power of a cultivator at the heavenly being realm. Once the Ascension Gate closes, one must wait another 1,000 years to see it again. 1,000 years. To wait that long, one needs at least the lifespan and power of a cultivator at the nascent soul realm. That's why I decided to become a cultivator. Even if I master martial arts, it only maintains the peak conditions of the body, not extending life. A fact I had verified in my past life. However, I can't further my cultivation. Then what should I do? How should I do it? Is there a way to find out? Even though my master had imparted the knowledge of Qi building and the latter stages of Qi refining to me, I could never surpass Qi refining 7th star. What am I supposed to do? I must try at least once. I clenched my teeth. Yes, there's nothing I can do. But the seniors of Heavenly Being will visit in a few days. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, Black Ghost Valley, Heaven Creation Sect. Furthermore, the Sea Dragon King and Hunchback Old Man. I should plead with them. Even if it means groveling, I should ask them for a way. Clenching my teeth, I began to cultivate the law-transforming Dantian. Equalize the 5 spiritual qualities and settle them in the Dantian. Then harmonize with the yin-yang energy to polish with the primordial chaos energy. Perhaps because I had already achieved this state in my past life, I stayed awake for 2 nights and completed the Qi gathering phase, creating the law transformation Dantian. Now, I was ready to enter the 1st star of Qi refining at any time. The day came. Once again, the Grand Master of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, the Elder of the Black Ghost Valley, and the Sect Leader of the Heaven Creation Sect, 3 heavenly being cultivators, descended upon us. There are 4 with spiritual roots, The Grand Master of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, Jin Byuk-ho, drew us in. Heaven and earth energy naturally resonated, pulling me, Oh Hyun-suk, John Myung-hoon, and Kong Min-hee forward. Once again, reactions similar to my previous life burst forth. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Body. A legendary constitution. Ghosts. Ghostly Yin Transformation Immortal Root. Unique Holy Body. I can't stop laughing. Then, their gazes finally turned to me. HM, at the stage of completing Qi gathering. It looks like you are originally a cultivator. Oh, look at this. The size of your consciousness is at the level of Qi refining 10th star. Jin Byuk-ho exclaimed upon seeing the size of my consciousness. Then, greed flickered in the eyes of the others again. Let's test the aptitude. At the same time, heaven and earth energy forcibly infiltrated my body, tearing through it. Crack, crunch. Arg. I gritted my teeth and endured his cruel aptitude test, and after a while, it was determined that I had the 5 elements spiritual roots. As the 5 energies radiated brilliance, the 3 cultivators immediately showed disappointment. TCH, I had high expectations due to the unusual size of your consciousness for a Qi gatherer. This one seems unremarkable. But considering you have not activated any spiritual meridians and have just begun learning cultivation, that level of consciousness is not bad. Only Sir Chang-ho showed some liking towards the size of my consciousness. If things continued this way, Sir Chang-ho would only give me a recommendation and leave. I knelt on the spot and shouted loudly. I greet the great seniors of immortal cultivation. I have forced open the divine consciousness by reaching the 5 energies converging to the origin through martial arts, and have longed to become a cultivator. Please show mercy to this lowly one and accept me as a disciple. Whoosh. I swung my gang chi-imbued arm in the air to demonstrate my worth. I can also handle the pure spiritual force used by chi-building cultivators. My combat power is above chi refining 14th star, less than chi building. If you take me, you'll gain the strength of a chi refining 14th star immediately. Please grant me this opportunity, seniors. 5 energies converging to the origin. There certainly was such a thing. Jean Byako and White Bone Ghost Devil of the Black Ghost Valley appeared indifferent, while Sir Chang-ho of the Heavenly Creation sect showed significant interest. Oh, you speak the language of Biokra. Are you from there? He asked me in his native language instead of through consciousness, and I responded likewise. You could say that. I have a branch family in Biokra. However, he seemed uninterested in me beyond a recommendation. I asked with gritted teeth, why won't you give me a chance? You won't regret taking me. If it wasn't the time for the Ascension Gate to open, and you had come to the Heaven Creation sect, or even to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, or the Black Ghost Valley, you would have been good enough to be an inner disciple. But now it's different. We are already planning to promote our most important members in the sect during Ascension, and every additional person increases our burden exponentially. These individuals have legendary, almost mythical qualities like the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Body, Ghostly Een Transformation Immortal Root, and unique Holy Body, which is why we are willing to bear that burden. So, my qualities are not enough to take me with them. I looked at the 3 heavenly being cultivators and asked, then, may I ask one thing? You dare, treating us as if we're free to indulge you. Crash. Jean Byuk-ho roared angrily, and a bolt of lightning fell from the sky. Boom. Arg. I was struck by lightning, screaming in agony. It felt like my body was burning in flames. Am I dying? What a nasty temper. Whoosh. Sir Chang-ho flicked his finger, and what element spiritual energy enveloped me with healing power. I was quickly healed from the electrical damage. Cough. Huh. Yeah. Taking care of your fellow countrymen, are you? You're all too quick-tempered. This junior might have something interesting to ask. It's too much to strike with lightning just for speaking. Sir Chang-ho commented, clicking his tongue. Trusting Sir Chang-ho, I decided to ask my question, even at the risk of dying. Seniors, if you have no intention of taking me, could you kindly advise how one might surmount the barriers of the heavens themselves forbidding the path of immortal cultivation? I aim to reach Chi refining 7th rank and perform the 7 stars ritual, but what should I do if dark clouds arise in the sky every time, blocking the heaven and earth spiritual energy? Whitebone Ghost Devil frowned at my question and pointed at me. Pop. Simultaneously, both my arms burst open. Chang-ho indulged you, and now you overstep your bounds. Do you really think you have the right to speak to us? Geez, if you don't know, just say you don't. Crazy, I tell you. Sir Chang-ho clicked his tongue and restored my arms. Whitebone Ghost Devil pulled Kong Min He close to them, looking too annoyed to bother with me anymore, and floated into the sky. The phenomenon of heavenly rejection. I recall reading about it in the sect's archives. Jean Byuk-ho seemed somewhat interested in my question and pondered briefly before answering. As far as I know, the ritual will break if someone else helps, so you should push away the anomalies of the heavenly rejection phenomenon yourself. Look at his face sinking. Well, it's not helpful advice, is it? How is a chi-refining cultivator supposed to fend off the heavenly rejection phenomenon with their own power? Even a 3-year-old could give that answer. TCH, what can I do? He's annoying. I'm leaving. Crash. Boom. Jean Byuk-ho, frustrated, struck me with lightning again before floating away. Arg. Once again, I felt my body burning in pain, but Sir Chang-ho's healing technique barely saved my life. Thank you, Sir Chang-ho, sect leader of the Heaven Creation sect and Changmun clan. It's nothing. TCH. When you reach Heavenly Being, everyone's character becomes a bit off, so just bear with it. For now, I'll give you a recommendation for the Changmun clan. With your consciousness, you would have been welcomed anywhere before the Ascension Gate opened, but it's a shame. I still bowed deeply before him and said, thank you for your words, but I plan to continue appealing to the many seniors passing through the Ascension Gate during this period. Even if you appeal, everyone else is busy taking their most important members and future talents with them. You won't find anyone to take care of you. But, aren't there some who go alone, without a faction? I heard of one person with a hunchback and controls puppets, having no faction. Sir Chang-ho frowned at my words. What? You're going to appeal to the Mad Lord, that lunatic? He exclaimed through consciousness, not vocal. Hearing this, Jean Byuk-ho and Whitebone Ghost Devil, who were preparing to leave, looked back down. The Mad Lord? Why is that crazy old man's title coming up? Why are you bringing up that spine-chilling lunatic? Their reactions were not good, even drawing the two cultivators back. Jean Bayako's face was turning red with anger. You're not planning to appeal to that crazy Mad Lord, are you? Yes? I questioned in surprise, recalling how he had been friendly when he learned I was a martial artist who reached 5 energies converging to the origin in my past life, even gifting me the hidden consciousness technique. Whitebone Ghost Devil also sternly advised me with a hardened face. You know about the Mad Lord, but do you not know what kind of person he is? He might seem sane at times, but he frequently suffers from madness and bouts of insanity. He's more terrifying and spine-chilling than any devil arts cultivator or clan. You might have read some sane records about him, but he is mostly insane, so do not engage with him. Sir Changho also spoke to me with a face full of concern. Didn't you say you were a martial artist of the 5 energies converging to the origin? The Mad Lord's peculiar obsession with martial artists is well known. Wasn't his young lover a martial artist from the 5 energies converging to the origin? Ever since her death, that madman became notorious for capturing martial artists and transforming them into puppet-like creatures. I advise you not to approach him. If caught by the Mad Lord, you could be transformed into a living puppet. He shook his head in dismay and sighed. Anyway, if you don't want to throw your life away, not only should you avoid speaking to him, but also hide immediately if he appears to avoid being detected. Remember my words. Forget about unnecessary thoughts and take this recommendation letter to the Chongmun clan. I numbly received the recommendation letter from Sir Changho, who repeatedly warned me against encountering the hunchback old man, the Mad Lord, before leaving. What's the deal with him? I recalled the seemingly sane hunchback old man, feeling deep conflict within. No, before that. I pondered, looking at manager Kim Yun, who seemed puzzled by my conversation with the cultivators in the language of Biokra. I should do something about manager Kim. If what they said was true, it wouldn't be good for manager Kim Yun to be caught by the Mad Lord. But even if I intervene, manager Kim will awaken that vast consciousness, and the Mad Lord will come for her. Having properly learned cultivation, I now understood the status and ability of heavenly being cultivators. Just their thoughts could naturally resonate with heaven and earth spiritual energy. How could I possibly contend with such monsters? Not figuratively, they could literally turn a country to dust in a single blow. Amidst worry and anxiety, once again, Deputy Manager Oh Hyesyo awakened the power of calling wind and rain. Sea Dragon King Seo Huiol, sensing the origin of her power, came to take her. I kneeled before Seo Huiol and asked a question. I, a mere mortal, wish to ask a question to Lord Sea Dragon King. Please graciously accept my inquiry. Go ahead. Do you, Lord Sea Dragon King, know of a cultivator called the Mad Lord? Upon hearing this, Sea Dragon King Seo Huiol, who had never lost his solemn and dignified expression, suddenly contorted his face. That damn lunatic. Ahem. Why do you ask about that madman? It is now clear. The hunchback old man. The Mad Lord is indeed a madman feared by all. To see such a reaction from the composed Sea Dragon King. I wish to know why everyone dislikes the Mad Lord. Drop the honorifics for that bastard. That madman has a very perverse sexual desire, using his puppets for it. Although most heavenly being cultivators have some mental issues after living for thousands of years, the Mad Lord is one who's sane in just one aspect, and insane in all others. Never engage or converse with him. He usually captures those who speak with him, transforming them into living puppets. I was speechless, my face blank with shock. I also realized how lucky I had been so far. No, was it because he was very pleased to take manager Kim Yun as his disciple? Indeed, other individuals, despite their ferocious nature, left us alone, but the Mad Lord always tried to kill me and Kim Young-hoon, persisting only because manager Kim stopped him. Every time, we would have died if manager Kim hadn't intervened. Thinking more about it, he was indeed a madman. To leave manager Kim to such a madman would be too cruel. Thump. I kneeled before the Sea Dragon King and begged. Please, Lord Sea Dragon King, kindly accept this woman, Kim Yun, as your disciple or kin. What? Why should I do that? Seo Huiol, who seemed agitated by the mention of the Mad Lord, returned to his usual demeanor and questioned me. I explained everything to him. We are beings from another world, each having gained unique abilities upon coming to this world. Manager Kim Yun is soon to awaken a consciousness surpassing even heavenly being cultivators. That the Mad Lord covets her talents, likely to take her as his disciple. Hearing your situation, it's quite pitiable. Caught in the eyes of the Mad Lord. However, Lord Sea Dragon King seemed more moved by the Mad Lord's interest in Manager Kim than by our sudden arrival from another world. But how do you know all this? This is the ability I have gained. Something like a prophecy? I refuse if you're asking to be taken too. Those who have reached a certain realm have a sense of fate and know roughly about the future. Prophetic abilities are the most useless. I do not mind. Please, I beseech Lord Sea Dragon King to take her. Co Huil seemed to ponder for a moment before speaking. It's a big burden for me to take another person. Taking this girl is already a huge burden, but I'm willing because her abilities will be a tremendous help to my race. But to take another one. However, I'm too worried about what might happen to her with the Mad Lord. And if what you say is true, her consciousness might indeed be useful. He looked at me narrowly, pondering. What if what you said is a lie? If that girl doesn't awaken any abilities, she's unappealing to me. If Lord Sea Dragon King believes I have lied, then you may devour me. According to my ability, she will awaken her power within today, so just wait until then. After a moment of thought, he slowly nodded. If her ability is a lie, they'll just leave her near the Ascension Gate. The Mad Lord won't be interested in her anyway. But the Mad Lord's power is so immense that if he notices her awakening, it might be hard even for me to contend. If her ability is as you say, it could be very helpful, so I'll keep an eye on it. Thank you, Lord Sea Dragon King. After speaking, Sea Dragon King approached manager Kim Yun and grasped her wrist too. Kim Yun, unaware of what was happening, struggled in surprise. Quite rebellious. Sleep for a while. Whoosh. A gentle wave of consciousness from Sea Dragon King put Kim Yun, Kim Young-hoon, and Oh Hyaseo to sleep. I ended up talking more than expected. Since fate has brought us here, I can't take you, but I can let you out of the ascension path. How about it? Whoosh. Sea Dragon King flicked his finger, and a spatial rift opened inside the cave, revealing a dark entrance. Well, if Manager Kim goes with Sea Dragon King, there's no reason for the Mad Lord to come here. After thinking for a moment, I approached the sleeping Kim Young-hoon. Then, I formed a hand seal. My consciousness connected with his upper dantian. I touched his forehead and used the same technique my master had passed down in my previous life. Knowledge of Yinghua, Biokra, and a bit of Shengzi's language seeped into Kim Young-hoon's mind, along with the severing vein saber method, severing mountain swordsmanship, and various martial arts. Also, the record of surpassing path in martial arts, record of gazing cultivation and exceeding martial arts, and other techniques accumulated by Kim Young-hoon in my past life. In this life, I hope you, Kim Hyung, won't face danger because of me. Lastly, I imparted the cruel deeds of the Mokli clan and the information that killing Emperor Mokli Young would reduce their atrocities. If Kim Young-hoon kills Emperor Mokli Young, the Jin clan wouldn't uselessly operate assassination squads. Thus, my disciples would naturally return to being ordinary people under the Jin clan. After imparting knowledge to Kim Young-hoon, I placed him into the spatial rift. Goodbye, Kim Hyung. I might not see him again in this life. Oh, aren't you going? No. I breathed in the air of Ascension Path. Outside the Ascension Gate, the heaven and earth spiritual energy here was denser than in Yinghua and Biokra. Even if I went outside, I wouldn't be able to break through Qi refining 7th star. Therefore, in this life, I will train within Ascension Path, amidst this dense spiritual energy. I will continuously perform rituals for the heavens. Sincerity can move the heavens. Will the insights and techniques my master imparted upon me become meaningless? If the heavens forbid, until the heavens grow weary or insane, I will devote this life to earning heaven's permission. The Ascension Path has much denser spiritual energy, so there might be a different possibility. I wish to remain in the Ascension Path. You intend to cultivate within the spiritual energy of Ascension Path? Not a bad idea. However, this place is difficult to enter for anyone below the level of nascent soul. Heavenly being cultivators have already taken all living creatures above Qi building and core formation as materials. If you train here, you'll spend decades in immense solitude. I am prepared for that. Well, if that's the case, there's nothing I can do. I wish you luck. Co Huil nodded and closed the spatial rift. Holding Kim Yun and Oh Hyaseo, he then stepped outside the cave. Flash. A blue light enveloped my vision, and soon, a blue dragon was seen soaring into the sky. I stepped out of the cave and looked up at the heavens. In this life, I will continuously seek the heavens' permission from within Ascension Path. If I devote 50 years to constant rituals, even the heavens will not dare to deny me. Master, your disciple. I will ensure the knowledge you imparted does not go to waste. With this vow for my current life, I gazed at the sky. Chapter 51, Heavens Above, 1. Discord/translating novice. I first wandered around various parts of Ascension Path. I visited the dwelling of the core formation demon Fox, but all that remained were bloodstains and white fur. The fox was nowhere to be seen. It seemed that Sea Dragon King's statement about the heavenly being cultivators capturing all creatures above Qi building and core formation level was not an exaggeration. The fox's cave does have denser spiritual energy. I absorbed some of the spiritual energy around the fox's cave. However, since Ascension Path itself had spiritual energy 4 to 5 times denser than Yinghua and Biokra, it didn't really matter where I practiced. First, I returned to my original cave, stored some food, and began practicing the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation. After a month of practicing, I managed to activate the spiritual meridian corresponding to the first level of the 72 earthly Sha, the Earth Leader Star. Practicing with all my heart in the dense spiritual energy of Ascension Path seemed to have expedited the activation. Following the training method of understanding before breakthrough from my past life, and enhancing my understanding of true words and hand seals also seemed to help greatly. I'm relieved to have quickly overcome the most worrying hurdle. The Earth Leader Star Meridian was one I had forcibly activated by absorbing random spirit stones in my previous life, practicing breakthrough followed by understanding. Despite later enhancing my understanding of the Earth Leader True Word and practicing hand seals, I was a bit worried, but it turned out well. Now that I've activated the spiritual meridian and reached Chi Refining First Star. Though it's a bit challenging, I should be able to use basic spells. Perhaps it's time to head towards the Ascension Gate. I decided and looked in the direction where Jean Byakho, White Bone Ghost Devil, Sir Changho, and Seo Huiol had flown. Entering the Ascension Gate seemed only feasible for those at the level of Heavenly Being or higher. But exploring the outskirts might be possible. Maybe, just maybe, there could be clues around the Ascension Gate. Previously, I couldn't return once I left Ascension Path because the Mad Lord instantly threw me and Kim Young-hoon into spatial rifts. It was different now. All right, let's go. I set out towards the direction of the Ascension Gate. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I flew through the air, stepping on the threads of heaven and earth's spiritual energy, taking in the landscapes of Ascension Path. Though not yet at the Chi building level, I saw all kinds of bizarre creatures. I also spotted unfamiliar herbs, strange plants, and very peculiar spiritual herbs. Most of the special spiritual plants seemed to have been taken by the heavenly being cultivators, lacking the precious ones. After days and nights of leaping through the air, rumble, rumble, around the 10th night, I saw a bizarrely shaped thundercloud in the distance. Swirling without any air currents, it condensed and stormed in the sky. Right below the center of the thundercloud, on the ground, a white light radiated. That's the Ascension Gate. Perhaps the very cause that brought my companions and I to this world. I gazed quietly at the Ascension Gate. I wanted to get a closer look. Rumble, rumble. Lightning constantly struck from the thundercloud. Incredible lightning. Below the thundercloud, lightning poured down like rain at an incredible speed. Below the clouds, dark spatial rifts were opening, twisting as if to capture anything that came near. The space around the Ascension Gate was distorted, with black spatial rifts opening their mouths, writhing as if to devour anyone who approaches. I need at least core formation strength, maybe even higher to approach that. I clicked my tongue, unable to muster the courage to get closer, and could only observe. As I observed the Ascension Gate and thundercloud. Below the thundercloud, above the Ascension Gate, something was floating in the air. What's that? It was too far to see clearly. Even focusing my internal energy to enhance my vision only made it vaguely visible, and I couldn't make out what it was. The faint object continuously absorbed the lightning from the thundercloud, floating gently, looking very suspicious. Damn, I'm really curious about that. After pondering, I looked for a safe spot near the Ascension Gate and resumed my cultivation. Once I accumulate more spiritual power, I should be able to use the Tin Li spell get a clearer view. 2 months passed. The size of the Ascension Gate halved over time. In the meantime, I managed to activate about 12 more spiritual meridians. The ample spiritual energy of Ascension Path certainly helps, but the speed is much faster since these are the meridians I had already opened through understanding before breakthrough. Understanding before breakthrough is a method of accepting spiritual energy not through inherent qualities, but through acquired effort and understanding. The higher the understanding of true words, the faster the training progresses. Having been personally taught by my master, my comprehension of basic true words is unrivaled. I operated the spiritual power flowing through the meridians, utilizing the Tin Li technique to examine the object above the Ascension Gate. Objects within Tin Li appeared as if they were right before my eyes. It's a steel. The steel absorbed the constant thunderbolts from the thundercloud, using that power to float in the air. There was something written on it. Leave it behind for future generations, relinquish your desires, and ascend. Those who do not adhere will face calamity. On closer inspection, the top part of the steel was gone. I couldn't read the top part, but the remaining inscription seemed like a warning left by a cultivator for future generations intending to pass through the Ascension Gate. What does it mean to leave behind? Is it referring to spirit stones, spiritual treasures, or elixirs? Another thing, the inscription on the steel was written in an ancient language used for education in Yinghua, Biokra, and Shengzi. Having studied it for cultural reasons, I could barely read it, but I knew the steel's language was at least several thousand years old. Just a warning left by a previous cultivator for future generations. I felt somewhat deflated. I had expected some grand secret, but it was just an ordinary warning. Even that seemed to imply more of a mental preparation before entering the Ascension Gate than a special warning. I guess I don't need to worry about that. Disappointed, I decided to return to my original location. Training here wasn't bad, but the distant thunderclouds and spatial rifts made it a challenging environment for concentration. After another 10 nights, I returned to the cave where my companions and I had first settled. For now, I'll try to regain the cultivation I achieved in my past life as quickly as possible. Having learned the understanding before breakthrough training method, I should be able to quickly recover my cultivation with the high spiritual energy density of Ascension Path. I sat down and began to cultivate. About 10 years passed. I opened the 72 earthly Sha meridians. I condensed the 36 heavenly Gang spiritual natures. I adapted the 12 earthly branches spiritual types to my meridians. I imbued the 10 heavenly stems diagram spiritual changes. I unified the 108 spiritual meridians and 60 spiritual natures with the 9 palaces 1 origin principle. I completed all the meridians according to the 8 trigrams. Rumble. I felt the full activation and integration of the major spiritual meridians throughout my body. Using the earth-dwelling method and the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation, I formed a hand seal. Earth court. Rumble. Mud walls rose around me, and a mud house was constructed. I stepped out of the mud house, tested various supernatural powers and spells, and then took a deep breath. 10th year of my return. In just over 10 years, I reached the Qi refining 7th star, a cultivation that took me over 50 years in my past life. And what remained was the 7 stars ritual. I had to choose 7 stars among the 28 celestial stars and ask for the descent of heaven and earth spiritual energy. I knew all the methods and procedures for performing the ritual. I also knew how to build an altar. I understood how to calculate the auspicious timing and observe the stars. All that was left was for the heavens to grant permission. In this life, definitely, I will surpass this stage. After reaching Qi refining 7th star, I observed the constellations, calculated the timing, and chose a date for the ritual. This day, at this time, will be suitable for the ritual. I gazed at the sky. Based on my observation and sensing of spiritual energy, the weather was predicted to be clear for the next 10 nights. The ritual was 2 days away. Would the heavens grant me permission? I used the earth-dwelling method and the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation to gather earth and stone, building an altar and decorating it with spiritual herbs and fruits from the vicinity. And then, the date of the ritual arrived. The sun sets, and the stars gather. A beautiful starry sky. But knowing the cruelty hidden in this beautiful sky, I did not lose my vigilance as I commenced the ritual. The ritual begins. I, Co Unhyun, a mortal who seeks the path of immortal cultivation. Wearing simple clothes and ascending the star ritual altar, I examine the terrain and wish to honor the 7 stars of the Eastern Jiai, East Azure, constellation. I offer to the 28 celestial stars and 6 dings and 6 jias of heaven and earth, expanding each direction. For the Eastern Jiai, the spirit of the Azure Dragon corresponds to the stars of horn, neck, root, room, heart, tail, and winnowing basket, forming the image of Azure respect and planting it. For the Southern Bingding, the spirit of the red vermilion corresponds to the stars of well, ghost, willow, star, extended net, wing, and chariot, forming the image of yang respect and planting it. For the Western Gung Xin, the spirit of the white tiger corresponds to the stars of legs, bond, stomach, hairy head, net, beak, triple star, forming the image of white respect and planting it. For the Northern Ringue, the spirit of the black turtle corresponds to the stars of ladle, ox, girl, emptiness, rooftop, chamber, wall, forming the image of Een respect and planting it. For the Central Wuji, the spirit of the yellow emperor arranges the yellow spirit flag according to the order of the 5 directions and planting it. After Co Unhyun has trimmed his nails and disheveled his hair, he humbly offers this prayer. Holding a piece of bark inscribed with ritual text in my right hand and a stone incense burner in my left, I recite the ritual text towards the celestial constellations. I select the constellations that suit me from the 4 and address the 7 stars. As a mortal, Co Unhyun, wishing to walk the path of immortal cultivation, I appeal to the 7 stars of the Azure Respect constellation, horn, neck, root, room, heart, tail, and winnowing basket, to graciously consider this. The 7 stars governing the Eastern Jiai's fate, the stars of horn, neck, root, room, heart, tail, and winnowing basket. I pray to these 7 stars, performing the ritual dance. I draw a stone sword representing the constellation and perform a sword dance symbolizing the 7 celestial stars, elevating the spiritual energy of the altar. Grant this humble star the opportunity. I humbly beseech thee, heavens above, bestow upon me the spiritual essence of heaven and earth. Heavens above, grant me strength. As I continued my ritual dance, I looked up at the sky and stretched out my arms. Heavens above, the sky was covered in dark clouds. Despite my observation of spiritual energy predicting clear weather, heavens above, the starlight's energy was cut off. Continuous communication with the stars was essential. But as the stars' spiritual energy was cut off, naturally, the energy of the altar also faded. The ritual ended just like that. Ha ha. Yes, I expected this. I never thought the heavens would easily grant me power. It was the same in my past life, and perhaps it will be the same in the future. But I will not give up. I can't give up. For my life, to reach even higher, and to not make my master's efforts meaningless. Heavens above, no matter how proudly you stand in my way, I will definitely, somehow, reach that place. Boom. I rolled my feet, collapsing the altar, and quietly glared at the sky. The dark clouds on that day, the first ritual after my return, was unusually dark. The timing for the ritual came around roughly once every fortnight. I consistently refined the ritual implements, continuously offering rituals to the heavens every half-month. As a mortal, Seo Eunhyun, wishing to walk the path of immortal cultivation, I appeal to the 7 stars of the Azure Respect constellation, horn, neck, root, room, heart, tail, and winnowing basket, to graciously consider this. Seo Eunhyun, wishing to walk the path of immortal cultivation, I appeal to the 7 stars of the Een Respect constellation, ladle, ox, girl, emptiness, rooftop, chambered, wall, to graciously. To walk the path of immortal cultivation, I appeal to the 7 stars of the White Respect constellation, legs, bond, stomach, hairy head, net, beak, triple star, to walk the path. I appeal to the 7 stars of the Yang Respect constellation, well, ghost, willow, star, extended net, wing, and chariot. Rotating through the 28 celestial stars and their 4 constellations, I earnestly entreated different constellations with every favorable opportunity. O constellation of Eastern Jiai, please accept me. O constellation of Southern Bingding, please permit me. O constellation of Western Gungxian, please look upon me. O constellation of Northern Ringui, please raise me. O stars, this human pleads to you. Please, please. I performed the rituals with every return of the moon's cycle, again and again, 24 times in a year. Occasionally, I held additional rituals during special auspicious times, totaling 36 attempts in a year. And each time, I failed repeatedly. The heavens kept pushing me away. 1 year passed, then 2, then 3. And as time went by, 10 years elapsed. 10 years. During that time, there were about 500 attempts. Combined with the 24 officially sanctioned auspicious times in a year and a few special occasions, I conducted 572 rituals. And all of them failed. Each time, the heavens stood in my way. Heavens. As I watched yet another ritual collapse, I softly called out to the sky, please, give me strength. The sky was covered in dark clouds. Without any response. This was probably my 573rd failure. For over 10 years, in a place devoid of people, I cried out to the heavens, again and again. My beard has grown bushy, and my clothes has completely worn out. Recently, I have been weaving grass into garments, not because I needed clothes in the absence of people, but to maintain a minimum of decorum for the rituals. They say that if the heart is sincere, the heavens will respond. But it seems the heavens of this world do not know such sayings. Did they truly have no response, even after a human devoted 10 years? I don't know. Lately, it all seemed futile. Buzz whoosh whoosh. I watched a stone sword I had carved for the rituals, controlled by dual energy sword control, perform a dance in the air. So lonely. Loneliness. I hadn't known about it before. I had always spent time among people. Even when my hands bled from training, I at least had my master and Kim Young-hoon for company. But now, I have truly become alone. Watching the lonely sword dance performed by the flying sword, I suddenly grabbed another stone sword and infused it with sword energy. How about playing around for a while? Thinking of the flying sword as Kim Young-hoon, I rushed at it. The flying sword used the severing vein saber method, and I, the severing mountain swordsmanship, danced together all day long. For about a week, I completely lost myself dancing with the sword. Moving my body to exhaustion seemed to relieve some frustration in my mind. My swordsmanship became more natural, feeling more advanced than before. The flying sword, imbued with mountain wind, shot at me quickly. I grabbed another sword and deflected it with secluded valley, then counterattacked the imaginary opponent with bouldered cliff and strange stone. Now my skill in controlling the sword have improved so much that it felt as if the sword floating in the air was not controlled. It seemed as if the invisible Kim Young-hoon was holding the sword and swinging it at me. Kim Hyung, how is my skill? Buzz whoosh. The flying sword charged at me, aiming at my feet with Dragon's Mount. I adopted Transcending Peaks, and then countered from the lower position with Echoing Valley. But the flying sword, having no one actually holding it, didn't suffer much damage. Is it so? Am I still inadequate? But haven't I improved a lot? Kim Young-hoon, holding the flying sword, sighed, commenting and lecturing on my posture. Thank you for being a conversation partner. After talking with Kim Young-hoon, I examined my swordplay, corrected the points he mentioned, and swung my sword again. It certainly seems a bit better. I see. Using my intent in this way seems more helpful. Kim Young-hoon clicked his tongue and pointed out my internal energy and intent use again. I kept refining my technique as he advised, progressing forward. Thank you, Kim Hyung. Kim Young-hoon smiled and nodded at me. Then, he said that chatting was unnecessary during a martial arts match, grabbed his sword again, and lunged at me. Ha ha ha, let's have fun. I laughed heartily and clashed with Kim Young-hoon. Several days passed. That day, too, I unconsciously calculated the celestial movements, prepared the ritual altar in advance, and checked the ritual tools. And I received martial arts guidance from Kim Young-hoon. Wait, Kim Hyung, what's wrong with my stance? Kim Young-hoon sighed in frustration and demonstrated his martial arts skill in front of me. After watching his demonstration for a while, I still couldn't figure it out. I really don't understand. Let's just spar. Kim Young-hoon grinned, took up his sword, and charged at me. I too danced with the sword and clashed with him. But did Kim Hyung originally use a sword? His main weapon was a saber, wasn't it? Suddenly, that thought occurred to me. To make it more fun to play with Kim Young-hoon, I refined a rock into a stone saber using a spell. Kim Young-hoon examined the saber, seemed pleased with it, and then attacked me with Mountain Bird. Yes, indeed. It's more enjoyable to spar with Kim Hyung using a saber. We danced with our sword and saber, again and again. I calculated the auspicious times for rituals and conducted them when the time was right. Invariably, I failed again. I destroyed the failed ritual altars with Kim Young-hoon and repeated the martial arts sparring hundreds of times. Days and nights passed like that. One day, while sparring with Kim Young-hoon, we moved far from the original cave. Not towards the Ascension Gate, but in the opposite direction. That is, the direction from which Jin Byuk-ho, White Bone Ghost Devil, and Sir Chong-ho had come from. Come to think of it, Kim Hyung, if we keep going in that direction, will we reach places like Byokra and Yingwa that we know of? Since we don't know how it's connected to the geography we're familiar with in Ascension Path. Kim Young-hoon, swinging his saber at me, suggested that we keep going in that direction to find out. Haha, great. Let's keep going and have a blast. Once again, his saber clashed with my sword. About 2 months later, Kim Young-hoon and I finally reached the end of Ascension Path. I was speechless at the sight. Kim Young-hoon also seemed stunned, holding his saber loosely and just staring at the end of Ascension Path. Now I understand why we never knew the direct passage to Ascension Path from Chongmun Clan's library in my previous life. I chuckled and walked towards the edge of Ascension Path. Ascension Path was floating in the sky, a giant landmass imbued with spiritual energy, floating above the sky. Below us, the ground was a dim expanse. At the same time, I realized where Ascension Path was located. The heaven-treading desert. What was visible below was undoubtedly an endless desert. As far as I knew, the only desert like that was the heaven-treading desert. Why the desert was named heaven-treading? The name heaven-treading desert was a topic of debate among scholars from Yinghua and Byokra. Some said it was named heaven-treading because of a legend that it was connected to the sky. Others said it was because many who crossed the endless sands of the desert died and ascended to heaven. Some even thought heaven-treading was a transliteration of a word from distant eastern desert countries. But now I clearly understand the reason. Ascension Path and the Ascension Gate. A place with an entrance to ascend to the heavens. It seemed that numerous cultivators had named it heaven-treading, treading on heaven. Amazing, Kim Hyung. I looked at Kim Young-hoon, wanting to express my feelings, but was startled to see him. Kim Young-hoon's figure had become blurry. No, it cannot be. Ha ha. I took my sword and charged at the blurred figure of Kim Young-hoon. As I collided with the indistinct shadow, we exchanged a few blows. I found a gap in the shadow's defense and managed to split it in half with my sword, killing it. And so, the shadow was cut in half and died. Thud. The saber that the shadow had been holding. No, the saber that I had been controlling all by myself fell from the air. That's right, Kim Young-hoon. I sent him off alone 23 years ago. It was then that I remembered. For about 2.5 years now, I have been half out of my mind. Seeing the breathtaking and majestic sight that Ascension Path was floating in the sky, I momentarily regained clarity and came to my senses. Hee ha ha. I collapsed on the spot, giggling, and then bursting into laughter. According to the calculations I made in my semi-insane state, tonight would be the day when the time for the ritual would come again. However, I had neither set up an altar nor prepared or brought any ritual implements. Just sitting there, I laughed for a while, and then cried. The stars began to rise. Heavens above, heavens above, heavens above. Without performing the ritual, I just called out to the stars. How much longer? How much longer must I stay in this place? Please, send me to the next star. Please, prevent me from going more insane. Heavens above. Translator notes. Dangxi and Yang will be ophically termed as ascension path.